is.
Good morning.
I didn't know there was a dress code. Good morning.
Hey, when you're older, you got to put this kind of stuff on,
You know what's funny is Nate Ackerman's mom was at NorCal Classic this weekend. And everyone was comparing, I guess we're the same age, and everyone was saying she looks good and I look like ass. And I was like, man, should I just shave?
Oh, it looks good. It looks good.
Did I just put 25? I know. I'm more wizard than CrossFitter.
I felt bad for Nate.
That was tough. That was tough.
Man. It just shows you every point counts. It really does.
For sure.
You know, because stuff happens. Stuff happens.
Patrick, have you met Caleb? Do you know Caleb over there, the guy next to you?
Hi, Caleb. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Patrick.
How are you?
You know what's crazy also is ever since the beginning, I remember in 2008 or 9, Rob Orlando was running a race, and he was much shorter than the other guys, and it was I asked him, I said, hey, is this fair? And he said, hey man, nothing about CrossFit is fair. And I guess in all of sports, there's always, and Travis Bajan always told me, like, hey, remember you're competing against the judges and your opponent at all times. He was a professional arm wrestler, right? So he's like, man, you have to know that you're not just competing against and from the, you're an athlete, so you have your perspective, and obviously from the storytelling perspective, I love it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes.
It's like a bear ran out onto the track. I'm like, yes.
Oh man. Oh yeah, that's hours and hours of entertainment for you guys.
Absolutely.
For sure. How was the competition? What did you think about it as a whole?
I mean, I loved it. You know what's crazy? I shouldn't really say this publicly, but anytime I go somewhere, I have such a bias and I just love it. Like, I don't care what would have happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
The people are nice.
Yeah.
It's exciting. People are getting fit. It's just a lot of like-minded people. Like, I don't like, the whole place could have burned down. I'd be like, yeah, man, there were some good people there. I had fun. I mean,
totally. It's all about the relationships in the community. It's amazing. I couldn't, I could expand that on a lot more when my relationships that I've gained from CrossFit. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't remember ever going to a bad event, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, bad stuff happens, unfortunate stuff happens, but it does in every sport, like you're talking about. And no, it's just great. CrossFit, the people, the community is amazing. That's for sure.
Patrick, I went to the Super Bowl once in that stadium in Dallas. I think it's the only football game I went to, and the people looked like they were this big to me. And we went at halftime and we left halfway through the third quarter. I mean, it was pointless. It was cold. It was miserable. The people around me weren't cool and I couldn't see anything. I can't ever imagine leaving a CrossFit competition, because everything is good. There's like 5 other things you could do at all times. In football, like I never go to football. I would never go to a football game for the crowd or the people or it's just, yeah. So I don't know.
doubt. I mean, that was what got me hooked on CrossFit in 2011. I went to the games down in Carson. Back then, they had one age division that was 45 plus, and I was 46. And they had us out in the parking lot behind the tennis court competing. And it was in the last workout, and there's 20 of us. And I couldn't do a ring muscle up. And all the other guys were finished with the workout. And I had 19 guys around me trying to help me get a muscle up.
Wow.
For like 5 minutes. And, it was, and I just thought, and they were sincerely trying to help me. And I'm thinking, what other sport do you go in at halftime? The other team is going to come visit you and try to help you with your strategy. And so, I made instant friends then, continued to make incredible friendships from that. And, I'm all in on CrossFit for sure. And I just hope CrossFit kind of gets its stuff together so it can move forward.
Yeah. I'll come back to that. I'd like to hear your take on that. Yesterday I was watching the Dave Castro Week in Review, and he was talking about what the level 1 is. and he didn't mention this, but to me, it was the most important thing. That's where they disseminate the culture. And so that's where that's taught that, hey, you guys, they're the bonded suffering. And it's so easy to cheer on and help other people because you know how hard it is what you're doing. You're like,
Yeah, you
wow,
guys know it. You know,
yeah, everyone
it's
knows it.
it's the getting into that pain cave. You see somebody in the pain cave, you know that feeling. And face it, there's not a lot of people in this world courageous enough to put themselves in that position.
Yep.
And so there's this instant respect for that if you're participating and you understand it.
You're in Idaho?
Yeah, I'm in Coeur d'Alene.
And are you close to your son, the champ?
Yes, the champ lives 15 minutes from me, and so does my other son. He's about 20 minutes from me, so I'm really spoiled. They were both over here last night, and we all did a 1.4 mile swim, getting ready for a triathlon.
You and your two sons went for a 1.4 mile swim last night.
Yes, in the river.
And how old are your boys?
The one on the left, James, is just turned 23. The one on the right there, Spencer, he's 24. He's turning 25 in September. And those two are as close as they come for brothers. And as a dad, you couldn't ask for anything better.
So you live close to your kids.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 60.
You're 60 years old. You live close to your two sons, and your sons are friends. That you actually nailed it. There's nothing. I have 3 little boys, and there's nothing better than watching the 3 of them get along. I mean, absolutely. I mean, if I had to choose whether they would love me the rest of my life or love each other, I choose themselves for sure.
So true. How old are your kids, Savon?
8, 8, and 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you're at the stage where it's just going to get better and better and better and better. And you know, there's nothing like it. I mean, I feel bad for parents that kind of discard their kids and look at it as a chore growing up, because they can become your best friends, and my 2 boys are.
What do you think the trick is? They're at that age where, you know, people start getting different vocations, go away to school, and they move away. How is it that you were fortunate enough at this age to be such close proximity to them, only 15, 20 minutes away?
So we all lived over in the Seattle area, which is about 4 hours from where we are now. And I bought a place over here when COVID started because nobody had a mask on. And I was like, oh my gosh, here's some people that think for themselves. I like this area.
How far is that? Like, if you were to drive from Seattle to your house, how far is it?
4 hours.
4 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what is that? That's like about 250 miles.
280. Yeah.
280. Okay. You drive a little faster than me. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. But when I started coming over here and more after I bought a house, I just decided last October I wanted to move over here full time. James was coming over a lot, and he developed a relationship with a gentleman that owns a pretty large school in Liberty Lake, which is about 10 minutes from here. And he happens to have an incredible CrossFit gym and wanted James to be the face of it. So James landed in a perfect spot, and that's about 5 minutes from Cole Sager, who's one of the most amazing human beings on earth. And, you know, and I got to mention too, one other guy, Sam Quant, was that guy over in Seattle for James growing up. Sam Quant and Cole Sager had such a huge influence on James, and I'm so grateful for those guys. But anyway, you know, and add Katrin to the mix. She's here in Coeur d'Alene, and she's very supportive of James and very helpful, and she brings her experience. So James has found himself a great spot. It's away from his coach, unfortunately, but he seems to be able to manage it pretty well, regardless. And but no, there's some great athletes around here. Not just because they're great athletes, because they're great people with great character.
And he's got that cat with him, Troy, right?
Yeah, Troy's been over here a lot. He just recently moved back to the Seattle area for work.
I'm sorry, Troy. That must have hurt.
Yeah, I think, you know.
Who wants to go to Seattle?
You know, Seattle used to be an incredible city. It's not anymore.
Yeah, same with Portland.
Portland, San Francisco, you name it. But yeah, it's really sad because I've lived there all my life. and it's almost unrecognizable now the way it is and the way it's run. But everybody's got their own thing, right?
And your older son, how did you keep him nearby?
So he decided, because he can work remote. He's with a great company in a town called Bellevue, which is on the other side of Seattle, and it's about as opposite of Seattle as it can be. And anyway, he decided he wanted to go remote. He was ready for a change. Moved out here with Troy and lived with a guy that just great guy, another mentor of James that bought a house, and decided he's going to stay here. So he just got his own apartment and he's loving it. So yeah, all three of us are over this way.
Yeah, that's the dream. When I moved about 90 miles south of my mom, I was so happy when she picked up. She's like, I'm selling my house. I'm coming down there too. And it was like, wow. It's the greatest thing for my boys. Now she's my boy's piano teacher and Armenian teacher, and we see her every single day. And we're so lucky.
That is the best. That is the best. My folks were close as well when these guys were growing up, and they love being around the kids. So I know you don't take it for granted, but that's pretty special. Pretty special.
My kids have a better relationship with my parents than I do, and that makes me happy too. I mean, it's the truth. It's crazy. Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah,
totally get that.
Yeah, and I kind of get to live through that vicariously, like just sit back and watch and be like, okay, this is good.
Yeah, whatever works, right? So how long have you been doing the podcast now?
I was fired in 2020 or 2021. And then I think 6 months later, Matt Souza and Dave and my wife all independently encouraged me to do it. So maybe since 2021 or 2022.
Gotcha.
But pretty much every morning, 7 a.m., wow. And if I miss 7 a.m., I try to come on at night. I really like these people. Yeah, there's a group of people that come on every time I come on, and they become my friends. They're like the only friends I have.
It's the best.
The internet.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really was appreciative of you guys doing that last weekend. It's to be able to watch some of the stuff, and you guys do a great job. So thank you.
It is pretty funny, the ebb and flow. We were 2 years ago, we were outcasts. And this year, because of resources, they've gotten desperate, and either they weren't able to watch the gates and we've marched back into the CrossFit town, or they invited us in. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it is nice to be closer and be more accepted, and to start to rebuild the intimate relationships that I used to once have with the athletes. So I'm really enjoying it.
That's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, and able to contribute at a higher level, since we're inside the village gates now.
Sure, it's fantastic. Keep it up.
Patrick, how did you find CrossFit? What was your intersection with it? Like the very first time it popped on your radar?
So I've always been an athlete, but in like 2010, a neighbor, her name was Bridget Nora, came over and she goes, "Hey, I was doing this thing called CrossFit. You might try it. I think you might like it." And so my wife at the time and I went to a class at a place called Snow Ridge CrossFit, and Tom and Michelle Nugent were running it. And I think it was deadlifts and rowing, and I loved it. I just fell in love with it immediately, and never really looked back after that. And I gotta say, I don't know if I would have stuck with it if it wasn't for Michelle. She's just an amazing teacher, and she's enthusiastic and fun. And when you experience that again in a box, and I've got a gym now in Coeur d'Alene, but when you experience that in a box and you get done and you go, "Wow, that was something. That was hard. I'll see you tomorrow." And that's just kind of how it works. And so that was my first experience, and I fell in love with it right away, because I just didn't do enough different stuff. I was always doing the push-ups and the push-ups, sit-ups, running, but I didn't really expand on it much. And CrossFit brought in that whole realm of functional fitness. And so, I just loved it immediately.
Jeffrey Birchfield, first episode with Tom Siskron, April 23rd, 2020. Wow. Frank Curto from the Masters men 60 to 64. Go Pat.
Frank, great dude there.
Is,
Amazing athlete.
is he one of your competitors?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Proved
Yeah.
your point. What did your neighbor see in you that made you made her think you'd like CrossFit? You said your neighbor saw you. Did she see you working out in the garage? Did you already have a garage gym? Or she always
No, I was running and she just brought it up, by happenstance, and we just decided to try it. It was just like that. It was I don't think much more than that. Just we had known each other for a couple of years and she said, "You might like it. Give it a shot." So I did.
And when you said you were an athlete your whole life, what were your earliest like athletic endeavors?
So as a youngster, all the main sports, growing into high school, tennis was a big sport for me. Wrestling, a little bit of track. So, my parents made me learn how to swim, made me learn how to ski. And so I did that to my kids too. But tennis was the big one. I got a partial scholarship to Washington State University with tennis.
What's funny about that is I make my kids swim. They have a day they go with the swim team. They're the worst, but I make them swim because we're by the ocean and I want them to have surfing. Eventually I want them to be, have surfing as part of their daily life.
Yeah.
But that's their primary. Every day they play tennis and they fight. So they do fighting. Yesterday they had 4 hours of fight training.
Awesome.
And they had 2 hours of tennis, and that
so
is
cool.
Yeah, that's interesting that was your beginning also. I've never heard of anyone who did fighting and tennis, and then I also forced my kids to swim.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't hate it, but like they would never choose it.
Well, fast forward a few years, both of my boys, even yesterday, said, "I'm so glad you put us on swim team and made us learn how to swim." So that's why I say I think you're doing all the right things. And but anyway, yeah, swimming is an important part of it because you don't want to. It's a good skill to have.
Hey, tennis is really hard. The learning curve is so steep to get good. Were you playing a lot of tennis? I mean,
yes.
to get a partial scholarship, you're hours every day.
Yeah, a lot of tennis. So much to the point where I don't really like playing anymore. I got burned out on it. And I think that can happen in any sport. But yeah, I played a lot.
And what did you do in track? It's funny. Last week I was telling my wife, I'm like, hey, we need to find a track coach for the kids just to teach them just the fundamentals of like running, setting up, ladder drills, dexterity. What did you do in track?
So I ran the 800.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like the worst one.
But only a couple. Well, my oldest son who ran track in college says the 400 hurdles is the worst thing ever because it just nails you. It's like Fran.
I've gone to a handful of track meets. Dave Castro lives down the street from me, and his daughter's big into track, and she's been running. And every time the high school hurdles go, we come down from the stands and we go down to the fence to actually watch because that's also where all the carnage is.
Yeah.
And it's not a healthy, but I always take my boys. I said, okay, hurdles, let's go down there and watch. Because I mean, the accidents and the tripping and the falling is at the high school levels amazing.
Yeah. And there's another great community there too. Track teams. I mean, Spencer, my oldest son, incredible relationships from his time at George Fox University from running track. Yeah.
So you do that in high school and you go to college. And what was college like for you? Did you do well at tennis there?
No. So here's the sad part of my story. I'm a recovering alcoholic and I went to Washington State University, got into a fraternity, decided partying was way more important. And I was in I remember they posted the grades at midterms. And I didn't know they were going to do that. I had a 0.04. That's 3 F's and a D minus. And I was so embarrassed. I packed my stuff up and left school. I was a mess. I was hooked on alcohol, cocaine, you name it. And so I unfortunately that didn't last.
Did you go back home to your parents?
I did for a short time.
And when you drank, what did you drink? Just like Natty Ice and keg beer and stuff like that?
No, I was never a fall down drunk, but I would drink beer. I made that, and I was partying all the time. and there was always alcohol involved, and so yeah, I love the effect, and I could never get enough of it.
And how do you know, that sounds like my college years too. I was on and off academic probation, always if school didn't start at 8, by noon, I would go to the liquor store and get beer. You know what I mean? Like if I
Yeah.
didn't wake up and go straight to school, I wasn't going to school.
Okay.
And, and I had, 5, 6, 7 years of that.
Mhm.
But I never, I don't even know really what happened. I don't know how I stopped that as part of my lifestyle, but how do you know? Did you go get help? How do you know when it's like, quote unquote, an alcoholic?
So it's different for everybody, but for me, I mean, it affected the way I lived my life. I mean, I wasn't going to classes. I was more interested in getting messed up than doing anything else. And for me, that was a sign. And I did go get help. And, I got sober at 20 years old and stayed sober till I was 41. Then I went out again thinking, oh, maybe I was just young and stupid then, and maybe I can manage it now. And I went out again for 4 or 5 more years and almost died.
Wow.
So I've been sober 13 and a half years. I'm lucky to be walking on the earth with you guys. I had to relearn. I had to surrender again because I nearly died. And I'll never forget being in treatment in 2011, a treatment center for alcoholism. And both my kids came to see me, and the look on my oldest son's face, he was scared because his dad was killing himself.
Yeah.
And it was a turning point in my life. And so I haven't touched anything for 13 and a half years, and spend a lot of my time helping other guys in early recovery.
So you were, when you were still drinking when you found CrossFit?
Yes. And I went to the games in 2011 loaded. And so I thought, well, here, look at me. I can still do all this stuff and make it to the CrossFit games. So I don't have a problem. So I was always looking for ways to deny the issues I was having, and CrossFit making the game has made me think, yeah, I'm good. But later on that year after the games, that's when I almost died. So, God, best way to describe it is if you think you're an alcoholic, you probably are. And if you're sneaking it or hiding it, or that becomes the most important thing to you, it becomes your higher power or your God, maybe you have a problem. And I continue to see it, and I continue to lose people that I see people die all the time from this disease, and it's masked in different areas. But you probably want to talk about CrossFit, but that's part of my journey. So yeah, I'm pretty grateful to be alive.
When you were 20, the first time you got help, what did that look like? What does help look like at 20?
So for me, it was a long-term treatment center in Seattle where, it was different back then. It was kind of behavior modification. And so I was in a treatment center for 15 months where you were part of a organization and you kind of moved up in a status structure with more responsibility. You finally get a job and build up your income until you can move out. But what they taught us back then was you need to have willpower. And it's really not about willpower. It's about surrender. So the willpower method lasted for about 21 years, but it didn't sustain me. And gosh, I was in that treatment center and people would come in there, and it didn't have bars on the windows. So people would come in there, that were committed by the state to be there, that if they left, they'd be facing years in prison. And I saw a lot of guys come in there, they couldn't handle the program, and they'd leave and they ended up in prison. It was amazing to watch. But this disease is pretty powerful. So my attitude is if I just give 10% to my sobriety that I did to getting the stuff, I'll be fine.
Was this, so when you went there at 20, did you have to go there? Was it a court order?
No, it wasn't a court order, but I was in trouble with the law, and I was scared that if I didn't do something about my problem, that I was going to spend some time. Okay. And so I voluntarily went, and it did help with that.
And you lived at the facility?
Yes.
For 15 months?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was
then
highly confrontational.
oh, what does that mean?
That means that since it was behavior modification, so let's say I get up and I'm in a piss poor mood and you recognize it, you'd confront me right then and there on the spot. Hey, Pat, the reason I'm confronting you is for your attitude. Shape up. I mean, stuff like that. They don't do that stuff anymore, but that's, 40 years ago, that's what they did, and so a lot of people couldn't humble themselves to this type of behavior modification and they'd leave.
So they make it like almost like some sort of military training. Like it was like a basic training kind of thing.
Exactly. And if you were really on the fence and in trouble there with your behavior, they'd put you in this learning experience called spare parts, where you'd get up in the morning, you'd work all day, you would you'd be working all day, you'd keep your head down, and if anybody caught you lifting your head up, they'd nail you, they'd confront you. And the premise of it was, if you're really going to stay straight, you'll do anything. And so, people would be in that learning experience of spare parts for 5 or 6 days at a time. It was crazy, but a lot of people wouldn't make it through it.
I know you're saying that this second way is the better way and the way you recommend, but did you find value in it in those 15 months? Like, did you get discipline and did you learn a lot about yourself? Yeah,
I mean, it really did. It helped me so much with my career. It helped me understand myself better. It also taught me that I can get through anything if I really want to. So yeah, it taught me a heck of a lot. I think every life experience we go through teaches us something. And that definitely was a learning experience for me back then.
I always think that if one of my sons got addicted to drugs or something, that I would hire some guys to grab him and put him in a van and just take him out to the desert somewhere and just set up a tent and stay with him for 2 months and just be like, fuck you. Like, sorry,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
No. And until that's the hardest part is, I don't care how much you love your kid. I had the best parents in the world. I don't care how much you love them, care for them, buy them, whatever. Until a person like me surrenders in their most innermost self that they have to change, nothing's going to change. And that's the thing a lot of people don't understand. It's not about the treatment center either. It's about the person and their willingness to see that they're killing themselves and they need to change it. And that's why a lot of people don't. Quick story. Knew a guy that, well, I didn't know him, but a friend of mine knew a guy that was a surgeon, lived on Mercer Island, very affluent area, drink, ends up getting divorced, says to himself, once I'm divorced. If I lose the house, maybe I'll quit drinking. Well, he loses his house. Then he says to himself, I'm still making $1 million a year as a surgeon. If I ever lose that, maybe I'll quit drinking. Well, he ends up losing his practice because of his alcoholism, ends up, in Skid Row, and says to him, sees a guy across the street. He's under an overpass. He sees a guy across the street with a piece of cardboard over his head. And he looks at him and says, when I get that bad, then I'll quit drinking. That's what it does. You just justify it until you die. And that's why you see so many people die. And it's the most insidious, selfish disease there is out there. And so anyway, I don't want to give you a lesson on alcoholism, but
I like it.
It's a big problem in our society, and it's so masked, but there's so many people that need help and are too scared to ask for it or are not willing to get it. And I'm just one of the lucky ones, Savon.
Let me push back on you just a little bit here. So
Sure.
you're saying this example you gave of this guy saying, if it gets to this, I'll quit. I got to that. If it gets to this, I'll quit. But
right.
For you did say that you were, and we'll get to how you ended up in this place in a second, hopefully. But at 41, you were in a place and you looked up and you saw your sons. And I'm guessing, my words, not yours, you said to yourself, oh shit, I don't want to lose my sons.
Yeah, I was 46. I started drinking again at 41.
Okay, so at 46, you did see something.
I did.
That you didn't want to lose.
And I was at that same treatment center when I was 15, and I looked down at the carpet in the mess hall, and it was the same carpet. And I said to myself, when are you going to get this, Pat? You were in this place when you were 15. Now you're 46.
Wait, go back to this 15 thing. So you'd already been at 15. What were you in there for?
My parents were scared to death because my grade point average went from a 4-point to a 1-point. And back then, treatment was kind of new, but they were going to do anything to help me. So they put me in that treatment center at 15.
You were already drinking at 15.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Heck yeah.
wow.
Oh, yeah. Drinking, smoking pot, you name it.
You would have like alcohol in your locker at high school.
No, I wasn't that kind of a drunk. I just wouldn't go to school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to a friend's house and get into the parents' liquor cabinet and get out.
Get stoned, get beer. Somebody buys beer, just and all that while maintaining school and tennis and all that. So, I look back on my life and I wonder what could have been if I wasn't like that. But, that doesn't help me now. So,
did you smoke cigarettes too? Did you smoke cigarettes too?
Yeah, I smoked a pack a day for 7 years.
Mm.
It was bad. Yuck. And I remember when I was 22, my dad and I made a bet because he was smoking too, and he had 3 heart attacks, and I didn't want to see him die. So we made $1,000 bet. First one to smoke has to pay the other one, and we both quit.
Wow.
Both pretty competitive. But $1,000 back then is like 10 grand now. So it's like, I'm not messing this one up.
But so going back to this, Pat, you did see at 46, you're laying there and you see your sons.
Yes.
And that it's still there did become a point as a man where you're like, I don't want to lose this. And it was your relationship with your boys.
Yeah. Something, and I say it's God, came in and rescued me, and I surrendered. And partially because of my drinking, it really crumbled our marriage. And I just said to myself, I don't care what I got to do. These boys need a dad, and I'm not going to leave them with a legacy of a dad dying from this disease. And it was a strong enough feeling. Yes. And it still carries me today. I still look at those guys and go, hey, you got to stay sober today, Pat. Those boys need you. And they don't need me like they used to. Right. But they still need a role model, and they still need to see a dad that fights and lives life to the fullest. I just want to be an example for those guys the best I can. I love them so very much. And, so yeah, that feeling from that day in December 26, 2011 has not changed. And I'm just grateful for it.
The day after Christmas.
Yeah.
Would you remember the last thing that you had to surrender as you went into that place? Was like, there's something that you saw, like some image of your parents, or do you remember something that you're like, I have to let that go?
Well, here's what happened. I had my whole entire family at my house that night, that day after Christmas. We're celebrating Christmas, and my office was a mile away. And I went to my office to get some more pills because I was hooked on pills. And my best friend walked in, and so did my older brother. My older brother had a bag of pill vials, and he was crying. And he said, "You need help." And I said, "I do not. I'm good. Leave me alone." And my buddy Jeremy said, "Yeah, you need help. We're going to take you to treatment." I said, "I'm not going to treatment." And
you're a grown ass man at this point.
Yeah, I'm 46.
Yeah.
So I said, "Tell you what, I'll call my sponsor." And I had kind of a sponsor then, even though I wasn't sober. And I called them and I said, "Hey, my brother and my best friend are here. They want me to go to treatment. What do you think?" He said, "Pat, I think you should go home and say goodbye to your wife and kids because you're going to die." And I said, "What?" And then he repeated it. And I just went, oh. And I don't know why that was the moment, Savon, that I surrendered, but it was. And my buddy and my older brother, God bless his soul, took me to treatment. And I really didn't want to be there until I was 2 weeks into treatment when I finally woke up and when I need to be here. And so, not too many of us, guys like me, gals like me, get that opportunity where you hit bottom, but that was my bottom. I hope it was my bottom. There's guys like me that are sober 30 years and drink again and die a month later. So there's no guarantee. It all depends on my spiritual condition. It really does.
And when they tell you that, do you start making up all these excuses? Like, I can't go to treatment because I have to go to work, because I have to pay my mortgage, and I have to do this. And you start looking at your calendar and I'll go next week. And like, do you feel the excuses just rushing in?
Sure. I mean, it'll hurt. It's going to hurt my business, blah, blah, blah. But mostly I still wanted to get high. That was the bottom line. That was my, like I told you, my higher power. I was looking for that next high, that next drink, and it was never enough. And that's what separates a guy like me from you, is you're able to put it down and walk away. I needed some serious help, and I still rely on that help today.
Yeah. And then so that happens on December 26, 2011. And had your boys started following in your footsteps at all? Like, as an example, like, well, dad does that, so I can do it.
No, they were pretty young. So at that time, Spencer was 11 and James was only 9.
Okay.
So they kind of don't remember anything with my drinking. And I wasn't abusive, I wasn't one of those drunks that got in trouble. I was one of those guys that if my wife was drinking, I'd go sneak into the garage and pound 4 or 5 beers and come back in because she wouldn't smell it on me because she was already drinking. So that was how I kind of rolled.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I guess the sneaking part, for me, that was always like the litmus test, regardless of what you're doing. If you're especially if you don't want your wife seeing something that you're doing, then you know, like, hey, that really needs to be examined.
Yeah.
And then so tell me, why did you it's one thing to do CrossFit, and then it's another thing to have games aspirations.
Okay.
Like, I love CrossFit. I found it at 34. I was good at it. And people, that was 2006 or 7 or 8. That was when, like, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, you could do the games workouts. You know what I mean? Like, I could look at the games workouts and be like, okay, I can do most of those.
Yeah, you started early. You started really early. That's cool.
But I still didn't have games aspirations. I never thought about competing. I never knew any competition. Why did you want to go to the games?
I love to compete. The other thing I've done a lot of growing up and throughout my life is triathlons and marathons, things like that. And so that was one of the attractions, going into a box and seeing how I sized up against everybody else. And when they had the Open in 2011, some guys said, hey, you got to give it a shot. You might make it. And so that was a 6-week Open. And I just remember after 5 weeks, I was sitting 6th and I finished 8th. And I thought that was pretty cool. Thought that was really cool. And the workouts, man, I mean, you all know out there when you do an open workout, it's fun. You're doing something that's pretty neat. And again, a lot of the world isn't willing to do that, and so it's pretty special.
So in 2011, you said it was 6 weeks. Was that the year that the Open had a delay? There was some sort of issue. I remember one year there was a delay.
Yes, they had it was actually an extra week. There was 1 week. I totally forgot about that. They gave us an extra week on one of the Open workouts. That's right.
I forget what the issue is, but I remember I was in Florida. I was in Key West, and I went down there to film something. And then they're like, hey, it's a delay. And I was down there with my wife, who worked for CrossFit too. So we just got a 1-week vacation in Key West.
My gosh.
We sat there and waited for the Open to start up again.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. And so you do that, and then you're hooked. Have you done the Open every year since then?
Yeah, I have not missed the Open since 2010.
And the years you made it to the game are 11, 16, 21, and now 25?
Correct.
And did you try to go every single year?
Yes. I did. And there was a couple of years I just barely missed it, but it's kind of funny. I'm like on this 5-year train. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So anyway, that year there, that picture there up above that, that's just, there's some great guys there. I mean, there's Rob Burnett, there's Ron Ortiz, every one of those guys right there is just an incredible man. And I consider them great friends, all of them. The guy with his arm around me won the games that year.
And who's that?
Vincent Defias. He's from Europe, and he's 60 now, and he is about to win the worlds for the age division in high rocks.
Well,
Super nice guy.
you know what's crazy looking at his body? You know, one of the distinctions, this is off subject a little bit, but one of the distinctions I see between grid athletes and team athletes and RX athletes and games athletes is their how much fat they're carrying. And look at that guy. Look at that guy.
Oh.
Like that guy clearly has his nutrition just dialed in, right?
Yeah, amazing. Just amazing.
Because people, it's so obvious that to get to the top to win, that machine can't be carrying any extra weight. Any, you know what I mean? It's like Greg told me one time, he goes, hey, no one's ever won a triathlon or a marathon and not cross the finish line and be extremely dehydrated. Meaning, you know what I mean? Like the fastest car has the least amount of gas in it. Yeah. Right. Because it's carrying the least weight, but also it has to have enough gas in it. I mean, what a fine-tuned machine that guy must have been. Yeah, he was. And he beat Ron that year. And I didn't think anybody was going to touch Ron. So it was kind of a surprise. What about, how's your body holding up? It's a lot. It is. Good question. I've had my issues. I had a meniscus surgery a year and a half ago. I just got over a little bit of a shoulder area. I kind of tore my bicep a tad bit, and I've had to let that heal. But for me, and I'm sure a lot of guys my age will tell you this, it's all about the mobility. So I'm religious about doing pliability every day. I won't miss it. And what's if you're going to go hard, how many days a week do you go hard? Like, are you like, okay, today I'm going to the pain cave. Today I'm going to, I think like, twice a week, I would say I go pretty hard. Okay. Yeah. And I think it's important to do at least once a week if you want to maintain a certain level. Yeah. Sorry if I interrupted you. No. I like it. And I'm going to throw this out there. Let's say you're going to do something heavy. Let's say you have a workout that has 70-pound dumbbell snatches in it and pull-ups. Mm-hmm. And I know, how old are you? 60. And I know that I'm guessing if you wake up in the morning, the last thing you want to do is move a 70-pound dumbbell, even like 5 feet. And the last thing maybe you want to do is even one pull-up, but then you go to a workout and you know there's going to be 70 pull-ups in it and 70 snatches. What's a warm-up look like? I mean, do you have to warm up like crazy? Yeah, I mean, it depends on the workout. And like, for example, for me, overhead squats or anything where you're doing a squat clean or anything overhead, a lot of warming up. I think it's like, I'm guessing you're soaked before you start a workout. Like you actually have no. I won't put myself in that position. I'll be ready, but I won't overdo it before a workout. And you just build up to that weight, whatever it is, after you've done a lot of stretching. But more important to me is after the workout and doing the warm down and the stretching. I work out. The last 4 or 5 years, I worked out with a great man, Kevin Kester and Sherry Ann Benoit, and we'll finish our workouts and we will do pliability. That's like, okay, we're going to do our pliability together. We're going to get it done. And I don't think I'd still be working out today if I wasn't doing that, because to your point, and I love heavy weight. That's my jam. But I think pliability and doing your stretching and yoga or whatever you're doing is more important at this age than the workout itself. Tell me about the cool down. You said you're really focused on the cool down after the workout. That's where you start to work. What does that look like? So it's 25 minutes of guided stretching with, you've heard of ROMWOD. Well, now it's pliability. I'm religious about it. Some people like GoWOD, but I think it's important to really settle into something where there's some long stretches to wind down your workout and your day. And I notice it when I don't do it. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm not warming down and doing something mobility wise, then I am going to get hurt. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I would say 50% of the time I do some sort of stretching afterwards, but 50% of the time I'm like, holy shit, I got this in, and the kids are in the car waiting for me. And I'm going to the next. I know it's hard, but it really is. But I don't think
But I also think even when on days like that, Savon, maybe later on that evening when the kids are in bed, you can do it. You can still benefit from it later.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I notice I drive, like, even on the hottest days of the year, I'll be driving with my seat heater on to just because I just feel like my body's made of plastic, and hard plastic, and if I can heat it up, it loosens it up. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
I think it helps.
Yeah, the more heat, the better. Like, I can't
Yeah.
even move until I take a hot shower in the morning. When you get up in the morning, are you stiff as shit?
No,
No?
I'm not. It depends. Like if I do something heavy and I haven't done it for a while,
Yeah.
then it's not the next day, it's the day after the next day.
Right. Okay.
Kind of a delayed thing
yes,
now.
yes, me too. Yep. You're right. Yeah.
And but I also know, man, that I have grown if I'm feeling that way. It's like, okay, I don't like the way I feel, but that was good. Like when you do a whole bunch of heavy back squats and 2 days later you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's up with this? You know, you're doing yourself some good.
Yeah. That is a bizarre thing about getting old. The other day I did some workout where it was a minute of hard running and then a minute of something else. I can't remember what I did. And the next day I'm like, man, I feel great. That didn't even affect me. And then the next day after that, my calves were so sore. And I was like, why are my calves sore? I didn't do shit yesterday. And then I was like, oh, it was from 2 days ago.
Yeah. Yep. So is your box close to you where you live?
I just go to my garage.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I got that too.
Yeah. I just basically, I'm on my own. I homeschool all 3 of my kids.
Wonderful.
And so I don't have any real routine. Even, sometimes I'm in there. I just make sure I sweat every single day. So even if it's 11 o'clock at night and everyone's asleep, I'll go in there and do something.
Yeah, it's great. You're super fit. It's working for you.
And I hang out with all these, it's probably a lot like you. I hang out with all these young guys who are always talking about workouts and the stuff they're doing. So I'm sitting there, kind of cherry picking what they're doing or kind of listening and being like, hey, can I do half of what they did? Or I just try to hang out with the right people.
I agree with you. That's so important to me too. And that's the other thing I love for James is he's been gifted all these incredible men to be around growing up. And as a dad, that's another thing is like, you couldn't ask for anything better than your boys to be around good men going places. Because it's such an influence. You can't deny that influence that we have on each other. I don't care how strong-minded you are or how strong-willed you are. Who you hang around is going to shape you.
These guys, at their age, I was eating bologna sandwiches and drinking, having a keg just at my house and drinking, nonstop and eating bologna sandwiches. But these guys, when I stay with them for a week in a house, all they do is they come home and they make steaks and eat blueberries.
Yeah.
And they make steak for everyone. And it's crazy. It's like even just at Syndicate, the week I spent at Syndicate and the week I spent at NorCal Classic, I probably lost 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Just from not eat, because they don't eat like assholes. No one drinks alcohol.
Right.
It's such a good influence on me.
Totally. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I'm looking forward to going to the games this summer and watching James because, the community and all the people you get to hang around and the fantastic things they do. It's going to be so much fun.
So you're in that situation, where your buddies say you have to go to rehab. You talk to your sponsor, he says you have to go to rehab. And then what does that look like? Is that it? Cold turkey, December 27th, 2000.
December 26th, 2011 is the last day I touched anything. Yes.
And that was it. You just went cold. Was that a hard month? That next month was January of 2012.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes. The hardest part about it was waking up and realizing what I was doing to myself. Yes.
Did you go in your office and throw all your shit away?
Pardon me?
Do you go in your office and throw all your shit away? You throw away your whole
by that time it was gone. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't about that. It was about, there you go. Yeah, my that's 12 year. My sponsor just gave me my 13 year this year. But no, I mean, yeah, I didn't want anything to do with it anymore. And I knew, Savon, that if I did it again, I'm a dead man because I had a couple seizures before I went to treatment. And the doctor looked at me when I got up in the morning and said, I don't even know why you're still alive. So
what year was this? That
was 2011. It was in November of 2011. I had a massive seizure.
Oh, What's
my
that
body,
look like?
I was at a party with my now ex-wife and had a massive seizure, went to the hospital, had another massive seizure at 3 a.m. And
Just in bed flopping around and your jaw's getting crazy and shit?
I
Like
don't
that?
know. I wasn't witnessing it, but the doctor said it was one of the worst ones he'd ever seen. And it was my body saying, I can't take this anymore, you know? And it was directly linked to alcoholism. And what it looked like was I still didn't think I had a problem. And I started taking the same pills 5 days later. That's how crazy this disease is.
Dan Guerrero, Sevon's heaviest squat in the last 4 years was a gobble squat with 24 kgs. So that's a great point. So probably my heaviest squat in the last 5 years was a 40-pound D-ball, and I do hundreds of those a week. And then Hiller went and filmed with David Hippensteel, and then he texts me and he's like, "Hey dude, that guy's a beast. Can you squat 205?" So I went out, and like I said, those young guys influenced me. So I went out in the garage. I'm like, fuck Hiller, I'm squatting 210. and I never back squat. I only front squat. And so I back squatted 210. And of course he said, let me see the video. So asshole.
I didn't record it.
But so I'll probably do it. Maybe I'll do it today. Maybe I'll go.
Hey, but you know what, Savon? You
Yeah.
get so used to being around people that are doing this stuff.
Yeah.
The average guy couldn't do 100 pounds.
Yeah.
So you're doing something incredible. But it just becomes so normal because of the association we have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I was glad he said that to me too. Like he didn't choose some crazy weight. You know, he saw Hippensteel whatever do 350 or something just absolutely insane. So he probably cut it.
Jacked.
So he cut it in half, and he knows that like I move well and I work out a lot, but I'm just like I'm afraid of heavy weights. You know, ever since I had kids, and I don't want to get injured anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to be stuck in bed anymore.
Yeah.
But I did it, and it was a great motivation. And it, like it said, it's the people you hang out with. I would have never put 200 pounds on a bar.
Yeah.
If Hiller didn't say that, and it was fine. It was good.
Yeah.
It was smooth.
I mean, look at that guy. He's almost 70. He looks like he's 45. I mean, it's the secret sauce. Just move, you know, and if you're out there and you're struggling, just start walking. And pretty soon you'll be walking a mile, and pretty soon you'll be walking 2 miles, and pretty soon you can start jogging, and then you'll get that runner's high, and you'll just take off from there. But there's, you know, just if you're out there and you're not doing anything, just do something. It's going to change your life.
Another kind of awakening I had, you know, or moment I had this year was in this CrossFitters world we live in. You know, there's all these different characters in my mind. You know, there's the champ James Sprague, there's Rich Froning, the cool guy, there's Andrew Hiller, the video guy, and it's like kind of fun. It's like this movie I'm in. And one of the guys who I think is, you know, my nemesis, one of the biggest D-bags in the world, John Woolley. Even this year, he challenged me to the Open. And if the worst guy in my little drama and he motivated me and he changed my life. Like he got me to do shit that like I've incorporated all sorts of new shit into my working out because the worst guy in my life made me better. And it's like, damn.
Isn't that amazing?
If that's happening, I'm in the right place.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You know, I had that experience 2 weeks ago with my buddy Kevin. We ran 7 miles. We were halfway done, and this guy can run like a freaking gazelle. He does everything amazing. But anyway, we're turning around. He goes, okay, now we're going to run the last 3.5 faster than we ran out. I'm like, dude, I don't think I can do it. He looked at me and goes, he looked at me and he goes, no, we're going to do it. And with conviction. And we did it.
And for maybe a moment you hated him, right? Like when he said that,
I was hating him the whole way back.
You're kind of like, you're a dick.
Yeah. But that's what I love about my buddies is there's this, we love each other so much and he knows I'm training for a triathlon. And so that's love to me. He pushed my ass and he could have ran backwards, but he knew I needed that. Yeah. And when I finished, I just looked at him and I said, thank you so much for doing that for me.
Yeah. And if I think I text John Woolley, maybe said thank you to him, but if I didn't, thank you. Like shit. I mean, if you're the worst person in my life, man, I'm blessed.
Totally.
Like, holy shit, man. Yeah. Like you really motivated me. And now that I think about it too, I remember when he had an Instagram account and it got banned by Instagram, and he had like 500,000 followers. And that also was a moment of truth, because I was really sad for him. I was kind of
Yeah.
like devastated for him, even though I don't like the guy. Like, he didn't he didn't deserve that. So if I, it's just a great place to be amongst all these CrossFitters.
Yeah. Yeah. I can think of a lot worse things. That's for
Yeah.
sure. That's why I really hope the sport makes it through this time period.
And what do you mean by that? What do you see that's concerning you?
So in 2018, I think that was kind of the height of CrossFit with the Open and everything.
Yeah.
I've seen a void in leadership
Yeah.
that is undescribable. And then I also see a lack of direction, a lack of willingness to let key people participate in making the sport better. I'll bring up the swim last summer. If they would have just had, I was there, if they would have just had asked for 200 volunteers to go out on frickin' paddle boards and just line the course, they would have found it in 2 minutes. Just ask for help, reach out, say, hey, get a committee of 10 people that have been around the sport for a while and make some decisions with the athletes. They know better than them. And I think that that's really hurt CrossFit, is this rigid management style that is not inclusive. And I just don't get it. They continue to make decisions that are just poor for the sport. So as an athlete, it's hard to watch because I think it's so preventable.
Well, for sure. I got to be around Greg nonstop for 15 years, and all he did was talk vision. He was just a straight visionary. That's it. Like, from 6 a.m. when he woke up till 6 p.m., all it was vision, right? Cure for the world's most vexing problem, lift loads, move quickly, the nutrition. He just mantras and wisdom just poured out of him around human health and how we could express our DNA in the most grandiose way possible. And then for sure, with Greg gone, there is no vision anymore, right? It's now well, there's a vision, but it's a business vision. It's not Greg's vision was never around business. It was always around human capacity and then longevity in life, right? So how can you be the fittest you are now, and how can you keep it until you get buried? Those were, everything he was thinking about was around those two aspects. And then of course there was the unflappability. So I kind of have I see the opposite way of you. I don't think I think that there should be less inclusivity. I think we need a strong visionary with a strong direction who just tells us how it is. Like, if someone's being an asshole, they just get kicked out. You know what I mean?
So I hear your point, but when there's a void in leadership, then that's where I'm like, okay, well, since nobody can make a decision, why don't you get a group of people that have been around for a while, the Fronings, the Cole Sagers, some of these guys, and help you? Because I agree with you. If there was a vision and clear leadership, and we were going places instead of backwards, but we're not.
It feels like no one can put their foot down anymore.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like there's no we're void of a father figure.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that whoever buys it has this vision again, because I think the sport is amazing. It just needs a little tweaking. I mean, for the average person that goes to an event, it's really hard because, okay, I don't get it. There's 4 heats and the guy from the 4th heat won, but how come all the 10 best athletes are in the last? It's confusing for the average person. And I just think if something changed there where it was a little bit, because what the athletes do is unbelievable. No sport has this kind of athlete, but it's hard for the average Joe to get it when they're watching an event.
Patrick, another way to kind of explain it is Greg wanted to protect the brand, and the current owners want to grow the brand. And there's a tension there, because we used to have shirts with unfuckwithable. Your warm up is our workout. It was what the Navy SEALs did. There was a And then it became this like, well, hey, it's for everyone. Well, it is for everyone, but it is the greatest, general physical prepared program in the world, and it's not going to be easy, and
Mhm.
we can't water it down. So it's
Mhm.
scalable, but if you water it down, we're hosed.
What do
So
you see, Savon? You're around it so much. What do you think it's going to take to turn the ship around?
um so fortunately or unfortunately, however it's going to move forward, the most recent metaphor that I've been thinking about is when Coca-Cola came out as a product, it was a medicine, right? And when Sprite came out, it was a medicine, and society saw them as medicines to cure ailments. Coca-Cola was to lose weight; it was a dietary supplement and things like that.
Mm,
And then slowly over time, the product didn't change, but the use of it changed, right?
mm.
So it would be like I'm trying to think if there's other things like that in the world. I'm sure there are. And so the consumer changed, right? The consumer now isn't the consumer for Coke was a health conscious person who was looking ways for remedies, and now Coke is, the leading cause of ailments. I
Mm.
mean, it's complete.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
leading cause of ailments in the world. I think Mexico consumes 55% of its calories as soda pop, which is
Wow.
insane, and it's killing
Wow.
people.
Yeah.
So what I think has happened is the consumer for CrossFit, it's starting to change. And unfortunately, that's going to change the way it's perceived. That's the way it feels like it was going. Um, uh, when I worked there, everyone there believed in the product the same way, like people, like if you go to church, like, could you imagine having a pastor that didn't believe in God?
Right.
That would be bizarre.
Hmm.
And so that's what's going on at CrossFit right now. There's people there who believe in the business more than the methodology. Like the
Yeah.
reason why you do CrossFit and I do CrossFit is totally different. And that's why you should want to work there, because it's an employment brand. I don't think that's coming back.
Oh, okay.
I just don't. If it did, that would be great. And so how that bubbles up and something else comes out of it, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't see, there's people like street parking, Miranda, fully gets it. There's Met fixes now on the horizon. High Rocks is clearly, just a business also. It's
Yeah.
not that's not a dig at it, but you know what I mean? It's like the New York City Marathon doesn't give a shit if like you drink, Coke while you do the run.
Right.
So I
Right.
don't know how it's going to manifest, but the brand, when we were a hard brand, we were a cool brand. Like you wouldn't wear the same way you wouldn't wear a UFC shirt unless you were a UFC fighter. You wouldn't wear a CrossFit shirt unless you were a CrossFitter.
Hmm.
And so I don't know. It's definitely not going to like die.
No.
It's going to, but it's going to come back as something else or sprout up somewhere else. There's got to be some sort of migration, unless someone's willing, who buys it, to give it to someone like Dave and run it the same way the UFC lets Dana White run the UFC. Dana White will
Yeah.
just be like, fuck
Sure.
you to an athlete or
Sure.
de-affiliate someone. That's the way Greg was. It was like, hey, this is our vision and we're
Yeah.
going.
Right.
And then we would get behind we would cull the herd, and
Yeah.
the weaker animals would fall off the pack. And then
Yeah.
we would get our vision back and we'd be like, oh, it's those guys. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
That's
what we
why.
were. We were those guys.
Okay. Yep. And that's why I'm
That's
glad
my
Dave,
feeling.
that makes a lot of sense to me. Well, I got to tell you, when I was in Albany for the Open, when James got to do the Open with Dallin and Jason Hopper, I got a chance to meet some high level people in CrossFit. Oh my gosh, they're so passionate and they're such great people. And Dave and the whole team. I mean, I just was so impressed with the people. But I don't think that that reputation is out there right now, and they need to get that back. And I think they have the people to do it. But to your point, there needs to be some clear leadership and defined and consistent, and that people trust, because I still think there's a lot of hurt out there from what happened last summer, and a lot of pain around that, rightly so. And I'm hoping that the sport grows, because, and I want to say this too. I'm hoping the sport grows because my son's in it, and there's a lot of other young men and women in it that want to realize their dreams. And so when I see an athlete that's got years and years of CrossFit poo-poo the sport and walk away, it really bothers me because
It
it's
bothers
given
me too. It bothers me too.
it's given that athlete their life, and they don't realize what they're doing to the next generation by poo-pooing the sport that
Right.
made their life so great.
Right.
So if there's anything that really bugs me in the sport, it's that.
I know that when Dave came back from Albany, I got to chat with him, and we were talking about the guys in the sport, and I know that he's very high on Dallin and James.
Yeah.
It's like it's a real breath of fresh air to him to be around guys like that, because it does remind him of those guys remind him of the Rich and the Dans and the Joshes and you know, that day when it was like they feel like CrossFitters to him more than professional athletes. My word's not his, but you know what I mean? They're like CrossFitters and they're like part of the community. They're not seeing it as a professional sport. In the sense that like it's more than that. Yeah. It's more than that.
Yeah, I agree. Dallin's an amazing young man. Amazing young man.
Such a good head on his
Not
shoulders.
just his workout, everything about him.
Sorry, I didn't mean to leave out Hopper. I think David has said nothing but nice things to me about Jason also.
Oh, Jason's awesome. He's been so good to James, like a big brother. I just love Jason.
Yeah. And then how did you introduce your boys to CrossFit?
So when James was 13, I remember he was you know, I think the divorce was tough on him. He was kind of
it was. I'm just kidding.
He was kind of getting bullied at school. He wasn't really happy.
How could someone bully James? Such a man child.
Yeah. So anyway, he went to the gym with me a couple of times, and I'll never forget this. One time he wanted to do a bar muscle up, and this is after that, of course. This is our garage gym, but so we try, and like the fourth time he went in there with me, he got a bar muscle up, and I've never seen a kid so excited in my life. And that's for me as a dad when I saw him just go, okay, I'm going for this, and a switch went off, and I think even more so when he did his first open workout and just freaking buried it. He just knew this was for him. Yeah. And he's never looked back.
I'm going to come back to James in a second. So this is an interesting statistic here. 15 deaths per year for triathlons. I do not want to justify in any way the tragedy that happened around Lazar Jukic.
Sure.
And I think that your point is 100% valid. If there were 200 volunteers out there just lining the track on flotillas.
And maybe that wouldn't have stopped it, but it could have been.
Yeah, I think it would have stopped it. And we had someone from the Medeiros family, God bless them, jump out into the water. That's how amazing this community is.
Yes.
That being said, it's also pretty wild that after 20 years that's our most significant injury, right? I mean, we're pretty lucky. And if we are going to grow, let's say if we did grow to the size of triathlons, the CrossFit CrossFitters and participation, we are going to see more stuff like that.
Sure.
Maybe it's also part of our growing process. But please, I'm not justifying the lack of the flotilla it would have, like you're saying, it would have been so easy. It was a straight line to just ask 200 people to come out there.
Yeah.
And just line the track and make people swim in between the boats or
just line the course with paddle boards. So there's always a vision, you know. That's where where I don't think CrossFit asks for help in situations like that. We're going to do it this way, and this is the way we're going to do it, and don't ask anybody for help. That's what I don't like.
Yeah, we're definitely going through some growing pains. It's the same thing with the way we present ourselves. On one level, everyone says we want to be a professional sport and we want to do all this, and yet we're so scared. We don't even close to present with the flexibility. I mean, I was thinking the other day, probably, you know, there's some huge portion of NFL players that have DUIs or who are criminals. The stuff that you see at the Super Bowl halftime party with Rihanna diddling herself and then smelling her fingers. It's like, hey guys, you're so concerned about these things that other sports are hugely. I mean, the UFC is wild
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the characters who are in there and the things that they've been involved in. And so there's this sort of this holier than thou path that we expect us to traverse.
Yeah.
And yet if we don't, we're not professional. And I think it's I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
I see that too.
Yeah, it's like, hey, loosen up a little bit. Loosen up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's the same. And on the other hand, too, we just did these live broadcasts, and we got complaints about some of the jokes we were cracking on these live broadcasts, and some of them were off-color jokes. But in the same sense, we got complaints when I think John read some scripture on the live broadcast, and we got complaints about that. It's like, yo, everyone, chill.
Well, Savon, it's kind of like a radio station in the gym. Everybody wants a different station.
Yeah.
So how do you make everybody happy? You can't. You just continue to be you and who you are with your passion, and you're going to win that way. So I think that's why you're successful, is you're yourself.
Excuse me really quick while I do a little bit of house cleaning.
Sure.
Pat, I'm going to read into this, and I apologize if I'm wrong, but you're a passive-aggressive douche. Okay, thank you. All right. He's saying Rihanna's definitely a good comparison to this issue. Shut it, Pat. 50 burpees for you, bag. Okay. Okay. So he does that, and so at 13 he gets his muscle up, and then do you see him kind of get like addicted to it? Do you see him like incorporate it into his like, okay, do you see him to actually turn into a CrossFitter?
Yes, I got to witness it. I worked out with him. I helped him. I hooked him up with a coach named Mike Dolan, who just is great with kids at CrossFit. And James started getting coached by him, and he saw his own progress. And he also saw what some of his friends were doing and said, you know what, that's not the path I'm going to take. And plus he had a dad who was an example of taking the wrong path. So he was all in, and it was really, really cool to watch as a dad,
Was it just at 13 muscle up, and then you couldn't stop James until today? Like, has he been working out just 10 years straight doing CrossFit?
Yeah, he's more passionate now than he was then. And why I'm really excited about James for the sport now is because he's very mature for his age, just like Dallin. And he's got a lot of success behind him and experience, and he's getting stronger, and that's been a weakness for him. And he's starting to see that he belongs. And I would say a year ago before the games, he wasn't too sure if he belonged yet. He's like, I'm out there with Pat, and I'm out there with Cole Sager and blah, blah, blah. He was just so shell-shocked to be out there competing with those guys. And I really think a cool moment for James, for me with him last year, was that how he won the games was it was in the morning on Sunday. He had just finished a workout, and we took him home, and he was in second place. And he just chilled out for 4 hours, and he never does that. And so we're getting ready to go back to the arena. And he said,
this is in Texas. This is in Texas, 2024. Okay.
He says, Dad, I want to go back and secure second place. And me and another guy looked at him and said, second place? We're going to go back and freaking win. And he kind of looked at me like, yeah, why not? And so when he ended up winning last summer.
Weren't you afraid that could have backfired on you?
On him?
No, you just like, as the father, you're like, he's like, I'm going to take second place, and you say you're going to secure it to win. And did you feel like you were taking a risk saying that?
No,
like it might have put too much pressure on him or something.
No, because my relationship with him is strong enough where he gets where I'm coming from. Well, no, We're not going back to get second place. We're going back to win this thing. And if you don't win it, you're going to die getting second. And so that's his attitude now. And, and that's Dallin's attitude.
Yeah,
that's both those guys' attitude, and those guys are very close friends, and that's where you're talking about the association. What Dallin has done for James is just unbelievable.
We'll come back to that. So, okay, so he chills for 4 hours. You haven't seen him like really chill ever like that for 4
No,
hours.
he
And
really
then
chilled.
and then you take him back and
Yeah.
you say and he says the second place comment and you and the buddy say first and then what happens?
So he finishes that first workout and
It was 2 back-to-back workouts, right?
yes, and he sees that Brent's struggling, you know, and he wasn't. He was ready. And I think he just had this fire in him, like, I'm just going to go for it. And he did. And, you know, personally, I didn't think he was going to be able to beat Dallin in that last workout because that was Dallin's jam. And something just lit a fire in him. And I think that's where he started to believe that he belonged. And that's why I think if he can stay healthy, Dallin and him and Jason and Austin, those 4 guys are going to be at the top a lot for the next 5 years. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Depending on the workouts, depending on the season, those 4 guys are going to be in there a lot.
What do you think about this Ty Jenkins character? He's part of the brute training also.
I
now,
don't
right?
know him. James does. James
Mhm.
loves Ty.
Yeah.
He loves everything about Ty. Ty
Yeah.
is great for the sport.
Yeah.
So
he's a cool dude.
he sounds like it. I don't know him. James loves him. So that's all I know.
And is he part of it? Because I see them together now. Is he training with under Matt Torres also?
He is under one of Matt's coaches. And that's another guy that doesn't get enough credit because he's pretty quiet and he doesn't look for a lot of attention. Matt Torres, unbelievable coach. Unbelievable.
I constantly on this show I crown him as the greatest coach, 5 years running now. I mean,
I agree with you.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, his resume speaks for itself.
It does. And when James had the opportunity to get coached by him and he went for it, I was like, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And Matt knows how I feel about him. You know, I've sobbed a couple times in front of him just thanking him for his leadership and what he's done for my son.
I don't he's also taken athletes to the games that I don't see as quote unquote games athletes. Like I never thought Fisa Goffi would be as good as she is.
I know. She's amazing.
And she is something else. And the fact that he has Dallin and Ty and James and he had Emma Carey and also, it's a testament that he had Dom over there for so long, the guy who ended up going to Mayhem. So obviously Matt's doing something right. He's attracting some really high quality people. He had Daniel Brandon over there. You ever thought about having him?
You know what? I would put Dom up there with Matt on coaching. Dom is an amazing coach, and he doesn't look for a lot of credit. You won't hear him out there. You won't be getting any attention. But Dom is amazing.
Yeah, I think Dom is also one of those people that is tireless.
Yeah.
I get the impression just from the little bit I hear about Mayhem is like he has an 8-hour workday, but he's there 16 hours.
He's
a hands-on dude. Yeah,
he cares so much about the person.
When James is doing this, do you have any concerns? Are you like, hey buddy, this is you need to get a job at Starbucks so you can get health insurance, and like, what are you doing fooling around? This really isn't a career. Like as a dad, did you have any of those things? Like, hey, you shouldn't really be pursuing your dreams. You should be securing your future, maybe.
Yeah, I was a little bummed when he decided he didn't want to go to school anymore. He got accepted into the University of Washington, and which wasn't an easy task, and decided it wasn't for him. I'll never forget when he one day said, he was in his first quarter at the University of Washington. He said, "Dad, I'm doing a essay for this English class, and if I don't answer in a certain way to what they want, they're gonna fail me, and it's not me." And I said, "I get it. I couldn't do it either." And I just said, I mean, the traditional way is go to school, get your degree, do your job. I don't think that's the traditional way anymore. I think James has gotten more out of his experience in the last 4 years than any university could ever give him. And more importantly, the people he's been around Oh my gosh, what he's learned. So if James got an injury and couldn't do CrossFit tomorrow, he'd kill it as a real estate agent or something in sales, or he's so driven, and he's got a business where he trains a lot of people one-on-one now, and he's developed so many incredible relationships. And you guys know it's about who you know, not what you know.
Yep.
So I have no concerns for James if this all stopped tomorrow. But I do tell him, hey, you know, if there's money somewhere and you have an opportunity to go grab it, do it.
I remember being in going to college or being in high school and someone saying, God, I can't wait till I get out of high school. I hate that it's a popularity contest. But the truth is life never changes after high school. That your high school, that's your that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's who you know, what teachers like you, which friends you have, who's willing to let you cut in front of the line at the drinking fountain, who, when they see your back because you're a good dude, you left your backpack or your dirty clothes in the locker room, they bring them home for you. Like if you're not working on those skills, you could be a straight F student in high school and be filthy rich and successful when you get out. If you learn, it's never changes after high school. That's
so true. Yeah. So true.
Just
and you know, it's all about relationships, and he's developed incredible relationships. And James has such a forgiving heart. That's my favorite thing about my son, since we're talking about James, is that he's had friends just do some terrible things to him, and 2 weeks later he's forgiven them and moved on. It's like, God, I wish I had a little bit more of that in my life, you know.
Where do you think he learned that? How do you think he has that?
Honestly, I just think I think maybe he learned a little bit from his parents, but he just has this magic touch that he forgives and he forgets and he moves on. And so it's I've learned a lot from James in that arena.
Yeah, is that cool, learning stuff from your kids? I think about that too. Yeah. Our kids can be our best teachers, and James and my son Spencer certainly have been for me. There's this wish I could remember the exact line, but there's this poet named Khalil Gibran, and he basically says his parents were the bow and the kids are the arrows, and we shoot them. And that basically after that you have to follow them. That they're what he says, they're not you, they're of you. I forget the exact line. But it's a great line, and I'm starting to see it more and more as my kids need me less and less for like just day-to-day sustenance.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Caleb. Khalil Gibran said the parents are like a bow and children like arrows. The more the bow bends and stretches, the farther the arrow flies. I fly not because I'm special, but because they stretch for me.
Nice.
Great, amazing, incredible book. What's the name of that book that's in? The Prophet. It's in a book called The Prophet. Yeah, amazing book. I do have a lot of these athletes I have relationships with. I see that like they're like I have these cyclical relationships with them, and I see that they have the same arc of the characters. The athletes that I made friends with, like in 2008, our relationship does this. Mine and James is on its own total unique arc. He's definitely different. He's a very unique cat. He wrote me a very, very special letter, and I normally don't save shit like that, but he wrote me a very special letter, like probably like 6 months or a year ago. I was like, holy shit! Look at. I mean, like you could tell he put some thought into it.
No doubt. I got one of those on my refrigerator from him.
Yeah, I read it to my kids and my wife. I was so proud.
Yeah,
that of the nice things that James shared with me. It was cool.
Yeah, he's just like you. He's authentic, and he's himself, and he's passionate, and it's a joy to watch.
Does any part of you think, shit, he's gonna miss out on his life? He's not gonna go to Ibiza and do ecstasy and have fun, or he's not gonna be running from the cops or spend the night in jail, or like some of the things maybe you would have done that, like you think like, hey, he's not gonna get those life experiences because he's too much on the straight and narrow?
Not even. Completely opposite. Like, oh my gosh, what a fortunate young man to take this path and devour life the way he does. He's just both my boys. Just, I love it. I love it for him. You know, I heard one the other day too, Savon, you might like this. It's, you're only as happy as your most miserable kid. And I've got,
oh, wow.
I've got two really happy kids. And so, you know, just being able to watch these guys and their success does a lot for me. And I just stand back and watch and hope I can join them now. Like, just be a part of it. Like I got to do this triathlon with them in a couple weeks, and I'm not going to be with them, but I'm doing it with them, you know? So just anytime I get with these guys, I just hold dear to my heart. And no, I don't think James is missing out on anything. Matter of fact, I couldn't imagine a better life for him. I couldn't.
I've had to explain this to my sons a few times. I'll gather the family together and I'll be like, hey, you guys have to understand that we're all emotionally attached.
Yes.
And that we're all responsible for each other. And I'm not saying you can't have good moments and bad moments, but if you're not working on fixing your bad moments, you bring us all down. We all feel that everyone feels. So when you cry out on the fight, we all cry. That's okay. But just be aware. So if you're worried about dumb shit, then we all have to be worried about dumb shit. So you guys have to like constantly be working on that, because that's why we're so strong, but that's also why we're so weak, because we all have made each other vulnerable. I mean, the perfect example is your kid goes out at 16 at night and he's 16 and you can't sleep.
Right.
Because a piece of you is still out in the world.
Yes.
And you need that piece back before you can
know what you might be doing.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. That's a wow. Say that line again.
You're only as happy as your most miserable kid.
Wow. Man. How did what about this embrace of God that James has? Did he find that on his own? Did you lead him to that?
Well, I've always been a man of faith, and I said to myself that and I truly believe this, the most important thing I can leave with my two young men is a faith in God. And so they were involved in an organization called Young Life a lot growing up, where they got to hang around their friends, go to camps where there was a focus on, something more, and that's God, Jesus Christ, to be specific. And so his faith grew exponentially. And I'll tell you where his faith really grew was when he moved to Florida. James wasn't really living the life he really wanted to truly live. And, you mentioned Dom became a huge influence on James's life, and guided him and helped him in many different ways. And James ended up getting baptized down there 2 summers ago. And so, his faith I can say this for him, his faith is the most important thing in his life. And it is for me too. And it is for Spencer. So, I mean, he would have to tell you about his own personal experience, but that was my experience with him, was that these guys are going to grow up in faith. And because I think there's something much bigger than me out there.
And when you say you've always been a man of faith, what does that mean? What is what does faith mean?
So for me, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I'm forgiven for my sins. I think there's a heaven and a hell. I believe that my personal opinion is if there's all the grains of sand on the earth in the world, just imagine that, all the grains of sand on the earth. If there's a 1 grain sand chance that there's a God, why wouldn't you believe? That's my attitude. And so I don't see any downside to having faith in Jesus. And I don't think James or Spencer do either. And so, his faith is very important to him, and it guides him. And he's helped me a lot in that area too.
Let me ask you this, I'm trying to dig at what the definition of faith is. When you say if there's 1 grain of chance,
1 grain of sand, 1 grain, why wouldn't you believe?
Right.
What do you got to lose?
What can you tell me about how that looks like in your day-to-day life? Just like from, driving to the store to working out, like where does the faith play a role?
Okay. For me, my attitude is be kind, forgive, pray for
Because
people.
what? Because why? Because that we're all God's children, and that's what He would want. Or
Because that's what the Bible says, be kind.
okay.
And by being kind, I believe you're also rewarded for being kind. You see it. I mean, if you're nice to people, they're going to be
Right.
nice back to you. If you're not nice, it's karma,
Right.
So be kind, because there's no defense to it.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
Right.
And so I see that in James. I see that in my son Spencer. They're both really kind. And that means sometimes you got to swallow your pride and say you're wrong, or be kind to somebody who's not nice to you. That's when it's really hard. So how I live my life is I wake up in the morning and thank God for each day that I'm alive and each day that I'm sober. And I hit the bed at night saying, thank you for another day, Lord. I keep it simple. And I just think there's too much in this world. This is my own belief. There's too much in this world that says there is a God, then there isn't a God. And I'm walking proof. I should be dead. I don't have any desire for drugs or alcohol. And a guy like me either ends up in prison or dead. And I've been given another chance. And I think that's God.
Yeah, James says, if Sevi keeps you on for 90 minutes, he really likes you. I've never been kept on that long.
Oh, hey, that's great. He's listening. I love you, buddy.
When you go through this transformation at 41, when you get sober, was there did you go into a tailspin? Did shit start getting worse before it got better, or did stuff start getting better right away?
Well, I was 46, and yes.
Or sorry, 46. Sorry,
it's okay.
It was a 5-year run. You started again.
Yeah, it was a 5-year go back out there again. It got better. It got better. I would say a couple years later, because we tried to rectify our marriage, and in the first 15 months of my sobriety, and it didn't work. So it was tough.
Were you do you think that was your fault? Like you were too intense and in just going through withdrawals, 15 months of just.
No, I just think there would, and I can only speak for myself. I did enough damage to the relationship that she just was like, I've had enough.
Right.
And
right.
And unfortunately, sometimes that's hard for another person to come back from.
So did you have your heart broken during the divorce?
Oh yeah, I didn't want the divorce. I didn't want it.
And was that hard to stay sober during that? Like,
yes.
Fuck it, I lost my wife. I'm just going back. What's the point?
Yes, I had those thoughts and feelings, definitely. And I relied on Alcoholics Anonymous and some really key men in that program to guide me through it one day at a time. Because I was sad. I was sad for me. I was sad for our marriage. I was sad for my boys. At that age, they probably thought they were somewhat responsible for it, and they weren't.
Right.
But 9 and 11, you go tell your kids you're getting divorced. That was the freaking hardest thing I ever had to do in my life.
Yeah. Oh God.
It was the worst. See, you can imagine your kids are that age.
Oh, my wife and I yesterday, she was doing math at the table with one of the kids. I was like, I can't remember. I interjected. Probably I shouldn't have, but I said something like, "Hey, you got to slow down when you're telling them that." And my wife said something back to me, and they went straight, "Are you guys getting a divorce?"
Oh yeah, right.
I was like,
right.
I was like, you and your brother beat the shit out of each other.
Are you guys gonna get a divorce?
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, they all they want is crazy stability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy home stability.
Yeah, and so that's another thing that drives me these days is they want a sober dad. And I had Spencer about a month ago say, "Hey, Dad, thanks for being sober." That meant the world to me.
Yeah,
the world.
And the thing is they probably see it. The truth is they probably see it. Your boys are probably at the age now where they take you for granted less and less each day they get older. Like my kids take me absolutely 100% for granted, and
Right.
I love it. I don't mind.
Yeah.
It's just completely thankless, and I don't want them to be. I would feel if they were thankful, I would feel like they were carrying a burden. I don't want them to carry any burden. But
Right.
they're probably, and they probably see now. They see all the other dads, so now it's in context and relativity, and they see
Sure.
all the other families, and they're
Sure.
like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? You're like,
Yes.
wow, the rest of the world does not look like other dudes are not going for swims with their dad.
Right. Yeah. You know, Kevin and I remind each other that all the time. We're doing this so that we can be bouncing our grandkids off our lap when they're 18.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what's so cool about working out that people don't realize is it's the secret sauce. We can do so many things because we do what we do that the average guy won't do or can't do. And I mean, if you don't have your body in your health, yeah, that's just last night. If you don't have your body in your health, I don't care how much money you have. Who cares? If you're not able to use this
Yeah.
and be happy in this,
Yeah.
what do you got?
Did you ever get over your heartbreak?
Yes.
You did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just really slowly, or just
Yeah,
one day?
it took me like 7 years.
Yeah.
7 or 8 years. We're friends now. I want the best for her. She's thriving. She's doing well, and neither of us got remarried. But you know, yeah, all that pain is gone, and that's one beautiful thing about time.
Yeah. Congratulations. Heartbreak is crazy.
It is. Ooh, it hurts.
Yeah. No one ever thinks that they're going to get a divorce. I never even can't even
Exactly.
imagine. Right.
Exactly. It's the worst.
And now James is married.
James is married to an incredible woman. Her name's Danica. Those guys are so cute together, and they just got a new dog.
Concerns me. That concerns me.
Me too. And I told him, I go, you get a dog, I'm not watching them. I don't want anything to do with them. It's gonna take away your freedom. And then I met his dog, and I'm like, oh no, I like this thing.
Andrew, Sprague's gonna need a video about how the dog is his downfall. What's interesting about her, so relationships are a trip, right? Because so James is an eagle and he has to fly very high to achieve his goals. He's playing a game where he has to go where there's very, very thin air.
True.
And I know she's young. They're both young. Do you have concerns for that? Because the level of trust to let your man soar where James needs to soar. Ari, could you give me 10 more minutes, sweetheart? I love you. Where he needs to soar could be hard on a young relationship. Do you ever get concerned? But I do see. Let me say one very positive thing about her. She has the energy to match his energy, which is pretty fabulous. And I never see her trying to seek attention. That's another thing. You know, people will get jealous of maybe all the accolades he's getting, but I never. And I'm very sensitive to that. I never see that from her. I always see her.
She's amazing.
They're supportive.
So good for each other. They're amazing together. She is perfect for him. He is perfect for her. It's one of those deals. I don't have one iota of concern for the way that they are with each other and the trust and faith that they have in their relationship. They're amazing.
Yeah, and that she's attracted to him for the right reasons.
Yes. Yeah, his heart. She's after his heart, and he's got a good one, and so does she. So it's really fun to watch those two and how much in love they are with each other.
Is your other son married also?
No, he's single. And
isn't 23 too young to get married, Patrick?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I think if you're ready and it's the right person, you know, and who am I to judge? Because I got married at 32 and I'm divorced. And then you hear these people get married when they're 18 and they're married 70 years. So, but I think they're perfect for each other. I'm very happy for them both.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. She seems absolutely wonderful. I can't imagine. And they're obviously going to grow a lot together. A 23-year-old human is nothing like a 33-year-old human. and you can't imagine it at 23. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also relationships are the kind of long relationships are kind of the crowning relationships are the crowning achievement in life.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. So I'm excited for this year with James. I'm also excited for Dallin. Those two are probably the top of my heart right there for the guys competing this summer. You know, and I think it's gonna be a fun season.
And you're competing this year.
Yeah, I'm competing the 60 plus division end of August in Columbus. Can't wait. Bunch of great guys. It's gonna be a blast. Then I'm also competing with one of my best friends at the Masters teams games in October. So I got to do the games twice this year. So I'm excited.
What about drugs at the master's age? Is it hard to not be tempted to be like, okay, I'll take a little bit of this or I'll take a little bit of that? You tempted at all?
No, 0%.
And why is that? Because of your health concerns? Like, hey,
yeah, I mean, health concerns. There's, it's not worth it. I don't get it. And I know some guys have been popped for it, and I feel sorry for them. You know, you don't want to mess around with your health at this age like that.
Like you don't want to fuck with your hormones.
Yes.
And do you ever feel resentful towards the guys that you suspect are taking it?
No, because they're angry and they're not right. You can tell. You can just tell. Quick, can I tell you a quick story on that one?
Please, I would love to, because I struggle a little bit because you're pursuing this goal, that's your fixated goal, and I think people should do what they have to do to get to their goals. Then, of course, there's the cheating aspect against other people, but I also think that, man, your hormonal balance is like the most important thing. It's everything.
Yeah. So in the 2021 games, my buddy Kevin, well, the first event, we had a 5K run, and he's the fastest in the field. And toward the end of the event, this guy shoved him off the course and beat him. And so Kevin went up to him and said, "Hey, dude, what was that?" And the guy basically told him to kiss off. And Kevin said, "You know what? That's not what I want. Come on." And he told him to F off again. So I saw Kevin in the back. I said, "Dude, what's up? Something's bothering you." And he told me the story. And I said, "Okay, well, I'll go get Ron Ortiz and him and I'll give him a chat, you know?"
Yeah.
And he said, and this is where I gained the most respect from him. He said, "Hey, look, I can understand you want to talk to him. I appreciate it, but wait till the competition's over." So we did. And then we talked to him after the competition. He didn't want to hear about it. The guy ends up winning the competition. Kevin gets second. And then 2 months later, that guy got popped for steroids. So, and he was just an angry guy, you know?
Right.
And you could tell he was on something. There's like, no way. I mean, this guy was 52 and he looked like he was 22. So anyway, you know, I just think if you know, it's like drugs and alcohol, you know, you're hurting yourself. You can't deny it.
Yeah, that's a great story. And those are the things that maybe you would expect from like 21 to 25-year-old men who are naturally filled, like just the testosterone's pumping. But at 50, you've maybe softened in your mind, and that there's more things more important than just winning, like maintaining your integrity.
Yeah, that and there's no money in it. And I love what Matt I'm forgetting his name now. He won the game 6 years in a row.
Oh, Fraser
said, "If you cheat, you're a piece of crap." And I agree, because the guy that was fourth didn't get a chance to stand on the podium because the guy that was in first cheated. Right. So, and then Kevin gets told 2 months later that he won. I mean, it steals from everybody when somebody does that.
Yeah. Do you think about that? The fact that your son is in a situation where that temptation could always be?
He's not tempted, and he gets tested regularly.
But you're not concerned if it's like hanging out in a bar and you don't want your son to drink. He's like a waiter at a bar. No.
Not one bit concerned with him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Zero.
The fight game, they have no testing in high level Brazilian jiu-jitsu at the highest level.
Oh, they don't?
No. And basically everyone thinks that everyone's juiced to the gills. And that is, you know, that is a sport that I really like my sons to pursue, but it is pretty wild that at that highest level, the assumption is that everyone's juiced and they don't test.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had both my boys in Taekwondo for 4 years growing up. So I think that's great you're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to get punched in the head.
Yeah.
Someone asked me the other day, they're like, how would you feel if they did MMA? I'm like, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
What sports do you watch? Do you follow anything?
I love sports. Football, basketball, baseball, CrossFit, obviously. Anything. I just love sports. If I turn the TV on, it's going to be sports. I don't like watching the news, you know. So how about you?
I just watch fighting and Fox News.
Yeah.
I'm addicted.
Yeah.
I don't actually watch. And the thing is that my TV only goes on Saturday nights. Other than
Nice.
that, yeah, pretty much I don't. Usually it's my phone.
Yeah, totally. So you're going to continue to do what you're doing this year at the games and broadcasting from there. And you guys have big plans for moving forward?
No plans. I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I have reached out to the Jenna Haka, the head of chief marketing officer over at CrossFit. I've spoken with Dave. You know, I'm trying to figure out what exactly I'm going to do. One of our biggest sponsor and most loyal sponsor, Sarah Cox from Biomax Peptides, she got a VIP booth down there.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Right. And this year they're right on the VIP booths are right on the field.
Sweet.
So I was trying to think, maybe I can do a podcast live.
Yeah.
Out of there just the whole weekend. That would be incredible.
I think so too.
But there are a lot of politics involved and who you know and what you can do, and I'm okay with that. I'm not saying that in a negative way. Whose back you have to scratch or who likes you and doesn't like you, and so I'll see. I'm just playing it by ear, just winging it. Yeah, and I don't even if the best thing about this job is that. What I'm doing is I'm perfectly happy staying at home and watching on TV.
Gotcha.
And then, you know what I mean? And reflecting from home. Then at least I get to stay with my kids.
I think it's more fun when you're there.
I agree. I mean, last year is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
When you go, will you be trying to win?
Yes. This year, yes.
And why do you say this year?
I've gone to the games in the past just being grateful to be there. You know, God, I made it. I get to work out with these guys. This year, I believe I can win it. I just have a couple weaknesses that need some honing in on. Like in the open, I was really good in 80% of the workouts, and one I sucked at. I just need to work on my weaknesses, and I can do it. Why not? And this is the first time James and I have both made it the same year, which is really cool for me. As a dad, that we're both doing something we absolutely love and we both get to compete this summer. So once the triathlon's over in a couple weeks, I told James, I said, I'll do anything I can to support you. Because he's up first in August and I'm up in the end of August. So it's just cool that the old guys can do it. You know, I hear a lot of people complain about the old masters don't get this, they don't get that. Hey, at least we get an opportunity to do this. Take it or leave it. But if you don't like it, go do something else.
How do you process when we were kids, there was no internet, so no one could say anything bad about anyone's kids, really. How do you process all the stuff on the internet that's said about your son, the tens of thousands of opinions about your son?
He already knows this maturity level again. You know, the more haters you have, the better you're doing. And I'm sure you feel that way too.
Right.
If you don't have any comments, you're probably not doing anything. So 99% of those people putting other people down are not happy people. And they're cowards. And they don't have any guts to do what we do. And they're throwing out their fear out there. And so I don't pay any attention to it. Neither does James. And
doesn't piss you off. You don't see someone say something about James and you go to their Instagram account and you're like, oh shit, they live 1 hour from me. I'm going over there.
I don't spend any time in those arenas. I don't think it's good to be in there.
I agree.
You can just fall into that cave and it's not good for me. It's just like watching news all day long. It's not going to put me in a good spot. And so, I know I've had friends say, "Hey, did you see what they say about James?" I'm like, I had to respond, and I'm like, it's just where does it stop?
Yeah.
So if you don't have something good to
Very
say,
healthy of you.
if you don't have something good to say, just keep your mouth shut. That's my attitude.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I mean, that's what I think. They're just jealous. I mean, it takes courage to do what CrossFitters do. That's why a lot of people don't do it.
And the can you still hear me?
Yes.
The other thing that I think is that when people make an opinion, that's good for the sport.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so the fact that if someone has an opinion on whether the 2024 championships was valid or not valid, and they make an opinion, they're now invested.
Yeah.
And the more we need more people, we need more people having opinions.
Yeah.
And so
doesn't hurt.
So if it's not if we're not getting opinions, then we don't have people invested.
So true. So true. Who's
Ari,
this on the right?
Ari, do you want to say hi to the champ's dad? You probably can't see him from there, but James Sprague's dad's on. He's the fittest man in the world.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
Ari.
Ari, how are you? Ari, how old are you?
8.
Oh my gosh, so you just finished 3rd grade? Tell me.
Tell him, boy. Tell him.
Well, I'm doing 4th grade math and 2nd grade reading.
Okay, good for you. That's awesome.
He doesn't go to school. He's homeschooled.
Right, but
people ask me all the time, "What grade's your kid in?" I'm like, I have no idea. Move your microphone to the side just a little bit so you can see your face.
That's so awesome. So when did you turn 8? You were a good-looking kid.
November 22nd.
Nice. And so now that it's summer, you gonna have some extra fun, or do you still do school in the summertime?
Well, I still do school, but it doesn't really matter if I don't get my homework done.
Gotcha.
Whoa. That's crazy, dude.
I love that. Because you can do it
Don't
tomorrow,
let your mom
right?
hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like to do for fun?
Mostly go in my room.
Nice.
Wait, but with me? To play in there with me? Play Legos with me, or just by yourself?
Oh, Legos.
Hey, do you have any questions for him? He's the father of the fittest man alive. Do you have any questions for him?
What do you mean?
Like, do you have any questions about what it's like being the father of the fittest man on planet Earth?
No.
Imagine if you were the fittest man on planet Earth and I was your father.
It'd be cool.
Are you going to win any championships? Don't know. All right.
That's the way I feel like. It's cool. It's really cool. And even if he wasn't, that'd still be really cool because we get to be your dad. Nothing like it.
He got a lot of years left in him, James.
Yes, he does.
It's trippy how young this whole new flock is.
I know. It's good for the sport.
Yeah. Going back to what we were saying before, a lot of people can get invested, make opinions, make judgments. Some people might like them, then not like them, and like them again. I mean, the longer people stay in the sport, the more character arc we can have, the more we can learn the more we can learn about them, the more we can get invested in them.
Yeah, and when you're talking about guys like Ty and Jason and Dallin and James, I mean, it's a good core group of men. So, I mean, I don't know much about the women's side. I know Alex Kazan is amazing. I know her personally. The sport's in good shape. It just needs some vision, like you said, Savon.
And those two people in particular, James and Alex, some people, there's not a lot of depth to them, and they just haven't don't have enough miles on the brain.
Sure.
For sure, Alex and James have enough miles on the brain to add some depth to their character. They're wise beyond their years.
Absolutely.
And I think that's huge to people becoming interested in them.
I think so too. And when you watch Dallin and James when they're working out in a competition, you can see the maturity, and they don't get sucked into going out too hard because somebody else is or what have you. And it's just kind of fun to watch when you know them personally and what kind of guys they are, to see them out there as a reflection of their personality on the competition field.
I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks.
My pleasure. I really appreciate what you do and what you do for the sport and what you've done for James. And if there's anything I can ever do to help you out, or if you ever need a guy to run his phone around at a competition, I'm game. I've got some free time, so keep me in mind.
You're awesome. Hey, will you go? I'm assuming you'll go to the games. Will that screw up your training since that you're competing a month later?
Not really. That's priority for me, watching him and supporting him. Mine's
isn't that crazy? Isn't that great?
Oh man. If you said I got to go to the, I mean, if I couldn't go and you said, well, you'd have to give up your games to go, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Not even think about it.
Nah.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The favorite. I mean, every morning when I wake up, hey, yesterday you went swimming with them?
Yeah.
And do you meet them at the lake?
Yeah. We just live on the river here. That Lake Coeur d'Alene dumps out into a river that we're on. That's great for swimming. So yeah, we just meet at my house, walk across the street, and we're in the water.
Yeah. And so do you probably get that feeling? You hear James's car pull up and you get that feeling like, oh fuck, my son's here.
Oh yeah. Every time. I love it when they want to come over, because they might not want to be at Dad's house. I'm like,
yes,
cool, hang with Dad. It's the best. Savon.
Dude, so when I'll put them to bed at night. Yeah. Then I'll hang out, and then before I go to bed, I still go in their room and check on them.
Yes.
And then when I wake up, the first thing I do is I go look at every single one of them.
Absolutely.
Like it's crazy. It's like it literally feels like being Christmas when I was a little kid, and like you go look under the tree and the presents are there. I wake up and I'm like, okay, where are these guys? I got to see them.
To your point, I know people your age and my age don't realize what they're missing by not having kids.
Yeah.
But, oh my gosh, imagine your life without your kids.
No.
Void.
And I didn't want kids.
Yeah.
And now that I have them, I'm like, wow.
I know.
And my mom told me, hey dude, I know you're going to want them. My mom just kept saying, hey, you're going to want this experience.
Absolutely.
And that is true. Yeah.
Yep. Hey, I hope you have a great summer, young man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Enjoy yourself.
Thanks.
All right, brother. I'll see you soon. Thanks for your 2 hours this morning. You're wonderful.
Thank you so much, Savon. Yep. And really appreciate what you're doing. Take care, you guys.
All right. Are you going to have any more kids?
No.
Okay. All right. Just check.
Past that stage.
All right.
See you guys.
All right. Bye. Patrick Sprague. Dude, how lucky are you?
Lucky.
Just introduced you to the fittest man alive's dad. That guy's super fit too. That guy's 60 years old and he's top 10 fittest guys in the world.
Really?
For his age group. Yeah, pretty crazy, right? He didn't get a schlep dad like you. James got a good dad. Although you were commenting on how big my arms were last night. That was nice.
Yeah.
Go sit down. You don't want to sit down? Can you hear? Are those headphones on? Go sit down. Let people you don't have to say anything. Just go sit down.
Hey, I wanted to tell you something.
Yeah.
You know that Hulkbuster?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what to do with it. All these pieces are missing. It's like half broken.
So we have this problem, Caleb. I bought him this Lego. It's $349. I got it for him like a year ago, and it's been sitting. What? Go ahead.
Sorry. Go on.
Oh, not a year ago. How long ago? Oh, I'm sorry. 8 months. What did I tell you about correcting me in public? It doesn't matter if I'm wrong. He said that time you were wrong. Doesn't matter if I'm wrong or not. You never correct me. Unless we're in private.
Okay.
All right. Joey's you're processing.
Just tell us the story.
8 months. So it's been sitting out for 8 months. So imagine this massive Lego project that's been sitting out 8 months, 7 months and 18 days. I love you, Joey. So do you throw it away? It's $349, or you take it apart and put it in a box, or like what do you do with it?
I
was
would
asking you
not.
that
I
question.
I would never let a Lego set go unfinished.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, literally, dude, this thing's been moving from different places in our house, this project.
Yeah,
And
that's a problem. If
would you say it's more than halfway done? It's
Mm,
less than halfway
I'm
done?
only on bag 7.
Yeah, that's how long we had
how
the
many
dog
bags
knocked.
is it?
Yeah, the column
How many
knocked it
bags is
over.
it? How many bags is
I
it?
think it's like 25, 26.
Oh, dude.
You're cooked, dude.
Dude, it
You're
came in a
cooked.
box that was big enough that one of them could fit in it.
Yeah. I know that. Yeah, that's a $700 fucking.
Yeah, it was on. Yeah, I
Lego
got it
set.
like at half off. Yeah, I got it. It was like $349. I got it half off.
Yeah.
I
if
regret
start,
getting my kids into Legos. I so regret it.
Yeah, I bet. So when I was a kid, we used to get like they were Bionicles, and they were like
Yeah.
they came in like a tube like this big.
Yeah.
And you can finish them in like an hour. Well, now that I'm older, I'm like, I get my parents or my wife will get me some for Christmas or a holiday or something, and they're like thousands of pieces.
Yeah.
And I refuse to open one unless I know, like, okay, I'm going to be sitting here for the next 12 hours. Like,
So that you can finish
until
it.
yeah, because I won't start it unless I can finish it.
Yeah, it's
Because I know stuff like that's going to happen. And it's
Bobby
just
just
going to sit
finished his
there.
18 van.
and this is the kind of so I've been gone. I was gone for 5 days, and I came
Yeah.
back, and my wife had bought them Legos. Like Avi had an A-team van. I'm like, oh man,
Nice.
who do I yell at?
You out yourself, inside your soul.
For opening the bag of worms.
BPC injection versus capsule. Someone just texted me and asked which one. Man, God, everything in injection sounds better.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Patrick Sprague just forgot Matt Fraser's name. That was awesome.
That was hilarious.
This isn't to dig at Matt at all, but I forget people's names all the time, and I was so happy.
But it's the dude who won the CrossFit Games 6 years in a row.
Say that again.
It's the dude who won the CrossFit Games 6 years in a row.
I know, but
But like you would think, like, okay, probably remember. Like, you know Rich's name, probably know Matt's name.
Yeah. Someone sent me this and said I should watch it 1620.
On the spot right now. Are you gonna get in trouble? No.
What, this guy's coaching him?
Yep.
You're trusting your son to Dom?
I don't even know who's here.
Oh,
You know who that is?
yeah, that's Nate Ackerman's mom.
Yeah.
Ari, do you think this lady's pretty? Watch.
Yeah, I am. I'm on the spot right now.
Are you gonna get in trouble?
No.
That's Wishart's husband or boyfriend, right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Hey, you know when people just look smart? Doesn't this guy look smart? Like he's an
Yeah.
engineer. Yeah.
He looks like
Yeah.
a Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
What, this guy's coaching him?
Yep.
You're trusting your son to Dom?
I don't even know who's here.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
You know who else is named Dom?
Who?
The dude from Fast and the Furious.
Okay, I don't know movies. I hope you're not recording this.
Oh, I am. You've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie?
No, I don't
There's
think so.
8 of them.
Okay, no, it's not my
We ever-
genre.
That are
of movies.
built-
Did we ever do a competition against one another?
We were at the same competition for sure at South Loop.
Which means I beat you.
I'm sure you did. My compliment of the weekend, though, is some guy that had no idea what CrossFit was. He was just sitting there talking to all of us, and he asked if I was Nate's wife.
That's
Holy shit. Yeah, she does look. How old do you think that lady is?
30?
Wow.
I think she's 50. You
Look
think
at
she
her
looks like
smile.
she's 126? You think she looks 30?
cool. How old is he now, Julie?
21.
21? Does he drink? Nate, do you drink?
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
Not anymore. I had like a 6-month full bender, 6-month bender, and then I just locked back in on CrossFit.
When you turn 21?
Yeah, I never drank before that. I probably drank 2 weeks.
Oh, someone told me that Nate wasn't This is the same thing. Someone told me Lexi Neely wasn't articulate, and I had her on the show, and she was amazing. Someone told me Nate can't talk. He talks fine.
He talks good.
Yeah, he talks great. Sounds like a man already. Did you hear Miley Wade talking? She sounded like a Muppet, like Elmo.
She sounds like she's 17 years old.
Yeah,
sure.
it was
Elmo.
Elmo. You know Elmo from the Muppets?
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Is that an act? Does she have an accent? Where is she from? That her voice was wild to me.
Miley Wade?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sean M. Nate just can't add. Oh, who needs to add? 7 times 7.
49.
All right, second. You're in 2nd grade reading and 4th grade math. You're a boss. I'm in 4th grade math too. My 4th grade math is crazy.
Does she live in Cookville?
It's world class. Mark Moss from Uplift. Beaver and Sevi, nice to meet you guys for a split second. Syndicate, pleasure is mine. Hey, dude, great meeting you too. Thanks for the shirts. I'm going to tell you something. I do not keep shirts, and I keep the Uplift shirts. I do not keep shirts. I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to keep it, but I wore the Uplift shirt on those are like one of the few that I'll wear on a podcast. I forget what you do. What do? They do events for drug addicts? Raise money for drug addicts?
It's for like
Dudes who
suicide
beat their wives?
prevention.
I knew it was something like that. Suicide prevention. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
great meeting
thanks,
you
Mark.
too. Yeah. And I like the camo Uplift shirt.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm not much of a white shirt guy, but I like that one.
We
Yeah.
have to be at tennis at 11.
Oh yeah, you know what's happening today? I know this is going to go horribly wrong.
I can't wait.
So, as you guys know, my kids are like, you know, I'm not even going to say it in front of them.
What?
So, at 11 today, we have to meet with the tennis coach for an hour to talk about their future in tennis.
Oh God.
Yeah, and it's like, he's going to talk about a bunch of stuff that I just don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like most people I talk to. They're talking in like these things that are just too abstract for me. I would everything you say, I'd have to ask you 20 questions to try to understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I just suck at like, hey, is today a nice day? And someone will be like, today's a nice day, and then I'll be like, I wonder what nice means. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm just fucked. I just can't. I just don't communicate. Just chill with people.
Uh-huh.
And I know he's gonna say all this stuff about because they're take your headsets off. 1 second. They're like the greatest 8-year-old tennis players that are non-Asian that ever lived.
Mm.
Oh, you could hear that?
You said you guys need to get better at tennis.
No.
And so yeah, I said you suck. So he's gonna talk to me about their future and like the path that it goes on, and like I don't give a fuck. Like I just
Yeah.
want them to have fun. I'm not trying to get a collegiate scholarship.
Do you think you should give a fuck a little bit?
Maybe that's gonna what if that happens? What if someone like you says something like that to me? What if then
I don't know. I just
you can
I
know.
don't- is there like at some point you like, okay, we need to put somebody on a trajectory? You know, I mean, I don't know.
They're
'Cause it's
they're
like
eight,
you-
they're 8.
Right.
Well, what do
But,
they
I mean,
want to
it-
do?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I care what they want to do, but only in the context of like moment to moment.
Mm.
I'm not interested in them this is what I think he's going to say. He's going to be like, well, they need to be playing 2 matches outside of their normal tennis lessons for 2 hours a week. They need a minimum of 6 hours of court time. And like, I don't want to
Yeah.
do, I'm like, I'm not,
I think
for I'm going to be like, for what? But for what? It's like when I went to the doctor, I'm already feeling defensive around you, Caleb. It's like I went to no, it's okay. I like it. I keep pushing. I went to the doctor, and it's the same thing. The doctor's like, hey, do you want to get updated on your vaccines? And I go, what for? And he goes, because they're free. And that's how I feel like this dude just wants to do it because that's what people do.
Right. I think that when I was a kid and I was like the issue that I ran into as a kid was that I was moving all the time and I never got to like be in one league or any specific sporting team for an extended period of time. So by the time I got to like high school and college playing sports, I was behind the curve of like having those relationships and having like a history of being like coaches from high school seeing me come up and being like, oh yeah, he's actually like a consistent player, or he can do XYZ things, and I've seen him for years do this, and he's coached kids and whatever, you know what I mean? And so if that's, I know obviously they're 8 and they're
So you're saying, hey,
whole
fuck
children.
you. You have a crazy opportunity with these kids that a lot of other kids haven't had because of their consistency.
100%.
And like you shouldn't squander it.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're in so many things already though. So, you know, I mean, and I don't think you should put them in a position where they have to specialize in one thing over another, which I mean, because that takes away even more opportunity. But like if one of them or all of them really enjoy playing tennis, like maybe that's what you start putting them into. I don't know. That's
Yeah,
just,
they all love it. What's the
Yeah.
This is the kind of shit he's gonna ask me.
yeah, that's
This,
dumb.
and
That's
and I
dumb.
and I'm gonna struggle with that. I'm going to be like,
It's
the
their
goal is
1,
to
5,
come
and
here.
10 years.
You know what I mean? There's
You-
but his talk, I think the tennis coach's talk like resonates with 99% of parents.
Yeah, and and those parents just don't really understand. I just don't think they understand. And who am I to say? I'm not a parent, so what the
I don't
fuck
think
do
you
I
have to
know?
be I don't think you have to be a parent to understand. Even your own experience right there, like, was a good kind of like gentle pushback. Like, hey, like I don't want to close any doors,
Right.
like for sure, right? I don't want to close any doors, but
I I think at some
I
point,
really like this coach, and I just want them to
Mhm.
keep playing with him and keep learning from him and enjoying tennis. That's like
yeah,
all I want.
right.
I guess maybe in jiu-jitsu, I would like to maybe see a little bit more. Like I do, you know, at some point if the kids want to like take jiu-jitsu to the next level, you know, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think the
Maybe I have
one
a
thing about
bias.
the one thing about tennis is like you're not going to use tennis outside of the tennis court.
Right.
So
Right.
if you're a jujitsu
Well, you could use
practitioner,
it for fitness, I guess, in your older life
sure,
to stay
but
healthy.
like from a skill standpoint, like from like a survival standpoint, jujitsu is more necessary in a way.
Yeah.
And I think you can just practicing jujitsu is beneficial. Like there's no real need to like, oh, you need to be practicing more. You need to be going to more tournaments. You need to be like just as a baseline, jujitsu has more like life application. Whereas tennis is like you can use it monetarily.
Um. Here's my mindset, and I suspect I'm wrong. Like my life, the way I look at life is you can just stumble into shit.
Right.
And the way this guy looks at things, which is probably more accurate, is like, hey, if you want to take tennis to the next level, get a college scholarship or play pro or whatever, you need a plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I'm more like, you know, I guess you have to fill out a college application and then you go to college. My thought is like you could just walk into a college, sit in class, and the teacher be like, "Oh, do you want to stay for the year?" And I kind of have an unrealistic look of, or I don't know if it's unrealistic, but that's the way life worked for me.
I can see that.
Like
I think
I
that
prefer Ari just beat up the jiu-jitsu world champion in a 7-Eleven.
I think it yeah.
And then have to go to a tournament and sign in and stand in line for 3 hours and
Yeah. I think it affords you more experience that way. Like instead of being like, oh, well, I need to follow this path directly.
yeah.
Because you look at like how a lot of professional athletes are.
Yeah.
Like you look at the soccer players and the tennis players and the basketball players and like look at like how the Kobe Bryants and the Michael Jordans, like they weren't doing anything else. Like they wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. They go to the basketball gym, they go to the basketball court, they're shooting free throws, 1,000 free throws a day or whatever it is, and they're not doing anything else. So you're not doing
Well,
anything outside of that.
right. And maybe I justify it like this, but I always think of the jiu-jitsu they do as a compliment to their tennis, and the tennis they do as a compliment to their jiu-jitsu,
Mhm.
and that they're all important. The crazy thing is that in the 5 years, 7 days a week I've been taking my kids to train, I can count on one hand how many times they're like, I don't want to go today.
Mm.
Like yesterday I told Joseph, hey, let's not go to tennis today. Let's just all go to jiu-jitsu as a family. He's like,
Really?
Yeah, and so they know
Okay.
what they want to do. And Ari, would you do you want to play twice as much tennis as you play now, or you like it's a good amount? You like to up the amount of tennis you play?
Hmm?
Is 3 days a week enough tennis for you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Joey, is 3 days a week enough for you?
3 days a week. Oh yeah,
Joey wants to go 4.
he is doing 4.
I know.
Well, I have 3.
I know. No, but he's got a double on Tuesday, double session on Tuesday, and he played on Sunday.
Thursday.
Oh shit! I schooled your shit. No one can hear you because you're not by the mic. You can't. You're not allowed to talk. You just have to listen.
Can't even defend yourself.
You're not allowed to. Pickleball is smaller tennis. No. Pickleball's for pussies,
Yeah,
right?
it's so easy. That's why everyone's playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like taekwondo.
that's why I play it.
It's like
Because I'm freaking
yeah.
unathletic and dumb.
Taekwondo is jiu-jitsu. Taekwondo is pickleball.
Wow, it's like karate.
Yeah, karate. Yeah, karate is pickleball. What is this thing that a cell tower on wheels ranges from $5,000 to $10,000 a month depending on the size and feature. A 60-foot mini tower can start at $5,000 a month, while a 150-foot tower can cost up to $10,000 a month. Yeah, I don't think that's true. That's just the tower. Taylor's trying to fix our internet problems next year at I think that is just the tower, not the service.
Your microphone's going out.
Mine? No.
I don't think so. It sounds good.
I heard it go out once or
The general timeline is that the workouts are released Thursday afternoon, June 12th. There are 2 score submission windows throughout where athletes must submit score. Oh, the last chance qualifier is happening. Did you see that?
No. I was reading this long ass Hiller comment that he just posted.
Where'd he post it?
It must have been on one of his video, like most recent video, maybe.
The general timeline in that the workouts are released on Thursday afternoon, June 12th. So in 2 days, last chance qualifiers. Okay. I want to hear JR and I want to be on the show when JR and Taylor talk about NorCal Classic. JR must have been losing his mind at the Classic.
You think so?
Yeah, because his shit is tight, right?
Yeah.
And their shit is loose. They got a little more flow.
Right.
And JR is like, and there must have been some shit there that was fucking making him twitch. I just made that up, Taylor. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
I have too many conversations going right now. Oh man, my dad's on his way to my house.
Oh my God.
I gotta go clean the house. I have my shit everywhere. What video is this?
This is the one that says Madness at NorCal Classic. At the NorCal Classic.
Oh yeah, I haven't finished this.
Me neither. It's good though.
I think it gets better. The first 15 minutes were a little slow for me because I just didn't care about the people he was interviewing, and then the around the 15-minute mark I got engaged.
Yeah.
How about that chick who said that Pedro told someone to suck his dick? Oh yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
Heidi.
What? Sorry. I didn't say it. I would never say
DICK.
DICK. Sorry.
Don't spell it out. So
Why
we know how
not?
to spell it.
You don't know how to spell.
Sorry, that was completely inappropriate. Sevi, what was your experience going from a tightly run shit with JR and the shit show that was NorCal? NorCal wasn't a shit show. It's flexible.
Oh my God.
It was they were flexible. No, that was fine.
Hey, don't use the Lord's name in vain.
Hey, JR and Wilson It's just different. It's just different. Just different. Different skill sets.
Oh yeah,
Oh, please.
yeah.
This
Sorry.
is such bullshit.
Uplink rental.
You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Uplink rental costs. Just shut it. What you ask Chat GPT? I don't even know what you're talking about. Stop. You're not helping.
Yeah, I thought you had a second grade reading level.
Huh?
Huh?
Do not make fun of my friend Caleb. Yeah, my Heidi's coming. Yeah, you spelt that right. Wow. Can you spell Heidi? Wow.
You
He
spell
said
it?
HYRD.
RIG.
But oh,
HYRIG. Heidi.
that's what. But Joey said D. Yes, you did.
No, he didn't. Check.
Didn't?
No. Wait, where are you going?
Spell it again.
Oh, good job. You took your headphones off. Man, you look like a rooster.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep them off then.
No, keep them
No.
on. You look good. You look good with them on. You look like
Oh.
a good rooster, like one that when it cock-a-doodle doos, it's really loud, loud and strong.
Well, our rooster cock-a-doodle doos at 4 a.m. in the morning.
You hear that too?
Well, you.
Oh, I thought I
hear
was
it
the
at,
only
like,
one to
8
hear it.
I hear it at 8 p.m. in the night.
Yeah, I hear it. I wake up every morning to the rooster too. It's crazy. I don't ever get upset. Do you get upset? I'm not like, oh shit, he woke me up. I'm like, whatever.
Who owns that rooster?
I don't know who owns it. I don't even know where it's at, but it's loud.
What about those peacocks? Those are.
Holy shit. Amanda Hari would be a good resource. She's a local news reporter, has probably done. God, you seriously, CrossFit, you are a fucking moron.
Ah. That's.
Pedro sent some screenshots of a Reddit thread, and I went over to the Reddit thread, and I think now I'm thinking it's CrossFit who's over on Reddit.
He probably is, yeah.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
I cannot believe the shit people say about me over there. It's not even like it's not even like remotely true. Amanda Hari. I want to explain to you what Sean. I did this to you yesterday, and I want to explain to you again. I can fucking do everything. Okay, Amanda Hari is a fighter pilot. She doesn't put gas. Well, maybe she's working on those skills too, because she has a camera now and she's doing her own productions. But most of these fucking people, like who you think that would have experience, it's like our IT. When we had a guy who was a head of IT at CrossFit, we had like the whole entire IT department at CrossFit was so fucking stupid when it came to hardware. Like the kind of hard drives they would fucking suggest to buy people was completely fucking stupid. It was like shit that was outdated, like 2 years old. All the shit that the big broadcasters are using, outdated garbage. But they can afford to do it because they have these fucking big fucking teams that fucking maintain these structures. But most people who are in front of the camera don't know shit about. They don't know anything. They're one trick ponies. They're so fucking compromised and weak and unable to survive in the media milieu, the media environment, if their entire support team is not there.
Oh.
He said, my kid said, how do you wear those headphones for so long? They're killing my brain.
Oh, my ears.
I could lower your volume. Is it too loud? Dude, people pay money to put the headphones on and listen to me all day. You're lucky.
Huh?
Boom.
Oh.
Yeah, you want peace? Reddit is for pedos. That's correct.
Oh.
Okay. Great show. Thank you. Today's Tuesday. Any other shows on today? Is Sousa on today? Oh no, Sousa does Sundays now, I think.
Yeah, I think he's a Sunday now. I don't think so. I think I'm probably just going to catch up
Yeah.
on Hiller's videos, and that's it.
Yes, this is true, Devesh. Yes.
Hello.
You don't introduce certain words and concepts to kids, but very few words, and but you don't introduce concepts to kids. Words have, if you don't want kids to be afraid of words, because that's what makes victims. You don't ever want people to be I did a whole thing on it. It's the greatest parenting advice ever. If someone wants to pay me $500, they can DM me. I'll get on a phone and explain it to you. You should never be afraid of words, maybe one or two. But it's concepts. You don't want to be introducing like LGBTQ, any bullshit concepts you do not want to introduce to a kid. And a lot of real concepts you don't want to introduce, because they'll pick those up on their own as they grow. And then there will be an age when they can start asking questions about it and you can put it in there. But you do not introduce concepts to kids. That will fuck them up. And that's the hard part that a lot of religious people don't understand either. You will try to introduce your kid to God and fucking close the door on accident. You just let your kids chill. And then if you make them afraid of certain words, you'll make them emotionally fragile. You don't want emotionally fragile kids. You want cock diesel motherfuckers like my guys. You're a little fragile? No, you're not fragile emotionally. You're a powerhouse of emotion, and just as slowly you'll get that under control. Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, in the more what you're opening? Are you stealing my shit? That ring, you can wear it. Don't take it out of here. My grandpa gave that to me. Caller, hi.
Hello.
Hey, what you need?
Hey, so I was just listening to the end of the interview with Sprague, Papa Sprague, and I heard you talk about miles on some of these dudes' brains. And one thing I wanted to sorry, let me shut up my directions.
Wait,
one thing I wanted
miles on their brains? I don't remember that. You mean miles on their bodies?
Well, I think you were just talking about like how Gazan and James that's what
they've been through some hardship as children that has put depth to their character.
Right. So I was watching the Road to the Games with Hopper and Dallin. And dude, I turned it off after 10 minutes, and I like both of those guys. And I am the type who enjoys just like a good training montage. I fucking love that. But I turned this one off, and I'm just like, man, for whatever reason. And I watched the Mertens one in totality, the ones with Mertens and what's his name, the bunny farmer,
Hatfield.
But Hatfield, yes, thank you. I don't know. It was something about just like, I don't know, man. The ones back in the day where you were there with Froning and he was a strength coach and he was eating peanut butter and jelly out of a fucking dish. They just pulled out from under a counter. And then they went to that like UPS gym late at night. And then Ben Smith on his Road to the Games, he's in a cul-de-sac. I've been trying to put my finger on why that is more captivating and why I was just like, I don't know. I wasn't interested at all watching these like 23-year-olds and their little perfect marriage with their dog and in their little house. But I just wasn't. It's just something about it. I don't know. Can you relate?
By the
Can
way,
you help me figure this out?
There are some great words in the English language, and you just used one. Do you know what it was? It's such a great word.
No, tell me.
Cul-de-sac. What? It's hugely underused. It's like cockeyed. Cockeyed should be used so much more than it is. No, Maris. No, Maris. No. No, Maris. Maris, sit. Maris, no. Maris, time out.
Oh, it's because Jason sucks.
God, I love Maris. Okay, so here's the thing, too. Let me just add this. It's also, I think, maybe has to do with the depth and vulnerability of the filmmaker, too, at times. I do think Ian Wittenberg, the guy who's making these, is a good filmmaker, but you never know that either. Like, you have to feel the filmmaker has to take some risks and ask some questions. There has to be some depth and vulnerability. I mean, listen, are you sitting down?
Yes.
In front of when this story I tell you about Pool Boy passing out and then having to be carried to the medical tent, right?
You're right.
And I
I
don't
find
mean
a great story.
yeah, I'm about to I'm about to self-fillet.
I want to play with you.
God, I love my kids. 5 minutes. Let me tell the story about how great I am, and then we can go play.
Okay.
So, I ran over there. I helped undress him. I played with his toes. I looked him in the eyes. I fondled his girlfriend. There's no if you don't and that's the depth and intimacy you get from my interviews because that's just who I am. So that's the level. I mean, so you want some depth and intimacy, and yet you still have a shallow, superficial part of you that wants to see fucking beast move heavy shit. I don't mean that in a negative way either. I love that too. Who doesn't love a good training montage? But like you said, it can only keep you for 10 minutes. And hey, and then there's people like, the people why Hiller is so good too is Hiller's not afraid of confrontation. His baseline and his ability to confront people and make it comfortable as opposed to uncomfortable is unparalleled. So, if it's like, yeah, I mean, so I guess what I'm saying is a lot of it, like maybe it was the mood of the filmmaker. Maybe it's not that Dallin and Jason are doorknobs, but the classic piece, if you want to go back and just watch something that's just completely retarded, go back and watch the video someone made on Katrin David's daughter husband when he was married to that lesbian. And I can't remember her name. That I watched that piece. No, I can't even close it. No, I'm blow out my shoulder. That thing's crazy. That piece was so obvious. People loved it, but to me, my radar, that piece was so obviously like those were the two most superficial, fucked up psychopaths I've seen in my life. And I knew that they were going to get a divorce. But it presented to 80% of the public like they were normal. Are you wiping your butt right now?
Yes. Well,
No, I'm petting my dog.
Oh, it looks like you're wiping your butt.
And that was actually one other thing I wanted to say. I pocket 8 different things and then I call in.
Okay, let's do it.
things.
You have a wonderful voice, and you use words like cul-de-sac. So go. The floor is yours.
When I forget everyone's name. The guy on The Bachelorette. Can you help me
Luke
again?
Parker.
Luke Parker.
Luke
Dog,
Parker.
come on, you got to get better with names.
No, I think I'm just a little nervous, and that part of my brain is cut off from blood at the moment. But anyways, when Luke Parker gave his interview at Syndicate, and he was like, I have an identity, or I don't have, whatever he said, I don't have an identity-based or a mission-based identity. I can't remember what it was. But when he said that, I could not help but think that was complete bullshit. And that he was just trying so hard to tell himself that. But he didn't really feel that way, and I don't try to judge it. But that was the takeaway.
Emotional damage control, he's just trying to prevent crying because he didn't make it.
No, I think he wants to be that person, and so he is saying it out loud and he's saying it to himself. But basically, if someone who's actually like that you don't say those things. You just would say, "Yeah, I'm done with the games. It's not important to me anymore." You know what I mean? But he's saying, "Oh, I'm done with the games because this is basically a selfish endeavor, and I want to put my religion first or something." Just him vocalizing that to me, I don't know. Did you get receive any of that? Are you familiar with this interview?
I know what you're talking about. It's kind of the difference of when someone does something to you and you're like, I'm not going to let that bother me, to where it really didn't bother you. So, and the difference, and I'll use the flipping off in the car analogy because it works so well. There's sometimes that someone flips you off and it doesn't bother you when you're driving and you wave to them and you're like, sorry, dude, or you just wave and it's just whatever. And then there's other times when they flipped you off and it bothered you, but you pretend like it didn't. And
Yeah.
Like, I get it. What you're saying is you think that like he's struggling with it, and so he's saying some of that shit out loud to convince himself, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just trying to
Yeah.
convince
And
yourself.
now
Yeah,
that-
like I don't care that my girlfriend fucked my best friend. You know, it is what it is. And fucking you're at home,
Right.
just fucking, you hate your life.
Right. It'd be like, yeah, you'd be like, I don't care if my girlfriend fucked my friend. Jealousy is ultimately rooted in my ego, and I am free of that.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, when you go home, you're just like, yeah, you're like plotting to murder the guy or something.
Yeah. Every time you close your eyes, all you see is his. My
Yeah,
kids are in the room. I can't see.
Just fucking wombat.
You guys
combat.
you guys are ruining the podcast now. I don't know. I just can't say crazy
Well.
shit when you're in here. Oh, that doesn't go there. That doesn't go there. Hi, Avi. You want that? Take that to your room. You could have that. All right. Anything else you've been pocketing?
No, that's it. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Okay, bye.
I'm coming. Ari, don't leave. I'm gonna come play with you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Caleb.
Yep.
Peace and love. No, my